And hello there, we have started. Welcome to Twitch.tv.
It's not my first rodeo here, but it's nice to be here on Twitch.tv.
Well, maybe it's your first rodeo on Yoshi Element at Twitch.tv.
Certainly is. I have not been here before. This is a first, and honored to be the first one of 2024.
Exactly. Okay, so we have this little setup here. Nobody's here yet, so we're probably gonna stall just for a minute. But I don't know if you can see my stream, as I'm not
drag them out here.
Like
literally, go find them and drag them into here.
All right, I'll have to ping Poyo right now. Okay, I pinged him. Hopefully that's like one person. That's one person witnessed this interview, right? He was a part of that conversation.
Get it together, guys.
Exactly. You're just like Sonic. I'm looking at Sonic on my wallpaper right now.
I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. I love chili dogs.
Dude, he does love chili dogs. How did you know?
He really does. I don't know. I've been listening to Jaleel White since the 90s.
Okay. But yeah, here we are.
Broke my brain when I found out that was Urkel. Are you kidding me?
That's insane. Nah, I'm just looking at my nice little animated Sonic wallpaper because we have nothing better to do right now. But we have this nice winter scenery. Hello, Sans. I should probably move the chat box. I didn't realize it'd be covering stuff up. Let's see. Chat box. Move you.
Keeping party going.
Here we are. Because I have a lot of newfangled things on my screen. I have your profile picture at the top right that glows when you talk. The current question at the top left, which is currently nothing. And I have a box to turn on a game if I want to turn on a game. Just to keep my hands busy while we talk. But this image is probably fine. I don't think I'm actually going to change it. But
you play the best game ever, which is actually, you know what? Because I don't know. That might be a question you ask later. So
I can add that to the list because we'll probably need some extra questions. I don't know. Okay. We'll find out. But currently,
I'm pretty sure I'll say enough that you'll question something in between it.
Yeah, that's why I only went with 8. Speaking of, we have 8 questions for you today, Blackjack.
Oh.
So perhaps I will turn the music down, which is probably playing twice. I just realized. Hello, Donnie. We have so many good people here today.
Oh, imagine that. Well, we get Donnie as a guest, just sitting here chilling out, watching us suffer instead.
Yeah, we have Donnie. We have Sans. He just changed his pink username to be Pinker, and we have Frost here with Movie. You recently finished Pizza Tower Fun as fuck. You're gonna Piz rank everything. Fair enough. Can't fault it. And Novelle's here. Say hello to Novelle, everyone.
Novel, hello.
He's here. But
it's clown time now.
It's true. I guess I'll turn the music off because I feel like this is gonna get completely jading for someone after a while. You're here so you can think of an idea for your rewrite. Wait till Mr. Gamebreaker. Man, people are already busy in the new year. That's insane. People are playing games, they're finishing games, planning rewrites. Probably just called me a white boy. I posted an announcement in the Regretful Discord. First thing I see is him pinging me and calling me cracker.
Man, unbelievable. Just already hate crimes.
True.
First didn't we that's you can't. Oh wait, no, you can say that now. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. I'm wrong.
Don't say it? What do you mean? I'm not allowed to? Okay. Well, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen then. Are you ready for the first question, Blackjack?
I sure am. Hit me with it, Yoshi.
All right. Let's put this sucker on the screen.
Okay.
Since it's the new year, do you have any specific goals or thoughts for 2024?
So 2023 was actually where I thought I was going to get a lot back on track. And then my body finally, well, no, that's not true. My body started falling apart on me before 2023 even happened. It was happening in 2022. I just ignored a lot of it.
Oh.
And so 2023, I was expecting I'm going to be back on YouTube again because now it's like, cool, I have a job where I don't have to work weekends. I'm pretty much just, whatever off hours I am in the office, I am there, and then I come home and I will have all the time in the world. I was like, okay, finally, I can go out and like actually feel a little bit more comfortable hanging out with people. Just because like I don't feel like I have to force myself to go out late at night. I don't have to constantly be a late bird and all that stuff. And then it's like, cool, it's gonna give me all the time in the world to go ahead, get back to art, get back to writing, get back to doing YouTube. And then I realized how much pain I was in for about 6 months.
That's pretty yikes.
Yeah, my back literally so apparently the right side of my rib cage had been pushing. I've been just like physically just like kind of overworking myself where I was working pretty much like 6 to 7 days a week, which sometimes would look around. I remember there were weeks literally where I was just kind of like, I can't remember the last time I had a day off. There was a stretch where I worked 13 days straight.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's just like constant physical labor whenever you're doing food industry or work stuff. So I had finally gotten to the point where I was just like, finally, like, a lot of the pain's gonna be gone. And I think the minor stuff started to kind of like fade away, which I was cool with. I was like, all right, like me getting up every morning and not really feeling my foot has finally gone away. I feel like I
Oh.
can actually like get up and I'm like, oh, my ankle doesn't feel like it's going to instantly swell up on me, which was good. Problem is that like my back was so bad and my posture was so horrible. Um, just from like moving so fast and needing to um compensate so much of like injuries that I had just endured over the years that apparently my rib cage collapsed enough. Well, not like it
Huh?
collapsed, like it pushed down. Like it was just like so much of the right side of my body was pushing down to compensate for. I broken my leg about like 6-7 years ago.
That's insane.
So my body you have to compensate for it somewhere. But I was putting so much stress constantly, nonstop, every single day, that it did enough to where it was just kind of like my back was finally starting to straighten out a little bit and it was causing pain up my spine.
Oh.
So I would start like there were just days where it was just like I could feel like it would move up from like the right side of my rib cage and then like all of a sudden like shoot up to like where my brain was and then it would start to travel to the other side because it was starting to finally balance itself out. I didn't really start feeling normal until about like July or August. Um and it took me away from really wanting to do videos, feeling inspired enough to do it, even streaming. Like I just felt like I dragged a lot during the year where I thought I was really going to be picking it up and I was going to be like, all right, full steam ahead. You're finally here, man. You got your dream. You got what you wanted. You did it. And I needed a lot of time to just chill out and relax for a minute and really kind of taken a lot. So 2023, I wouldn't say it sucked. I kind of felt nowhere for a long time because it was just me trying to do something that I wanted to do and then realizing I don't really have the energy or the mental capacity to do it yet. So taking a mental break, I think during 2023 to kind of regather myself and then kind of figure out, okay, like what do you want to do now? Now that you've kind of like taken the time to do that, where now it's like, okay, in 2024, the plan that I had in 2023 of like, okay, by the end of by the end of the year, I'm actually going to be like, I'll know how to make characters and I'll know how to draw and I'll be like, I'm finally going to work on like visuals for a book that I'm trying to write. That is now moved to this year, and this year I'm finally like, okay, let's go. I feel like I've had enough rest. I feel like um I've had enough time to kind of like take a lot of stuff in and then adjust to what is essentially new life or how I like now what my day-to-day is. But it's like, okay, I can plan out a schedule, plan out my time to do X, Y, and Z, and then just kind of hit the ground running from there. So even like the video that I made, which was like 5 minutes, where I was just like recording my own gameplay, and then Novel posted it on his channel. It was like that was really a test for me to see if like, okay, do I still have the itch? Do I still want to do this? Can I still do it? And the answer is apparently yes. So
Let's go.
It feels like, yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place where goals for this year is let's get back on YouTube. Let's start making videos again. I have the passion to do it. I want to do it. And then also, I want to by sometime this summer, be like making art. Like making art to the point that I'm like consistently posting it and able to post on Twitter. And then also, just, enjoying a lot more of like the content that I'm making. Cause I think, for a while I was just kind of doing it out of habit and not doing it because I was like enjoying doing it. So, sometimes when like,
Yeah.
your favorite streamer is just like, I'm just not up to it tonight. I had a lot of that this year, or the past year,
Yeah.
where it's fine. You can take a break from it. I understand the pressure of feeling like you need to do it because one, there's either a community that's expecting you to do it, or say that you have a goal in mind where it's like you want to, I don't know, you're like, oh man, I want to get like more followers. I want to do X, Y, and Z, or I don't want to like let people down. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is that you yourself are in a capacity where doing it is fun and that you want to do it, regardless of what the incentive is. Sometimes, yes, that does mean pushing yourself, but you don't want to push yourself into auto drive and then just not enjoying it. So
Yeah.
that's really kind of like my focus this year, where it's like, even now I have games that I'm lining up where it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Here's what I want to play. Here's what's on like, my list. And then I have it all planned out and I'm like, all right, I'm going to make what I do this year fun and not just necessarily quote unquote things that I want to do. I think I got myself caught up playing too many RPGs, which ended up, it would just drag sometimes. And I don't want to do that again. Not that I don't want to play RPGs, but I'm like, I need to give myself like something to breathe in the middle.
Yeah. Certain games just have a lot of padding.
Oh yeah. And so this year it's like, okay, I have a few that I want to do. So it's like I have a Ghost Trick lined up, because
I love Ghost Trick.
I've never actually played it. I've heard a lot about it.
It's good. It's good.
Ghost Trick I have lined up. I'm thinking about doing a replay of Yuppie Psycho again because I technically never finished it.
Oh.
I got to a point, but the point where I was at isn't a good ending. So I actually want to get to like a good ending for it. That's also one thing I'm also challenging myself on too, is actually to play more scary games. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I think that's pretty much like what my thoughts are going into like 2024 is just getting back to doing the things that I know that I enjoy, and that now that I've had some time away from it, that it's like, oh yeah, no, I really do enjoy doing this, while also having the time in my personal life to also just do things and have fun with the things, aside with like people, because I really miss I think I feel like I missed a lot of opportunity to do that, and kind of went away from people for a bit. Not that it's like, hey, look, I don't enjoy being on like Discord with everybody, but even then, it's like, even on Discord, I feel like I wasn't really hanging out with people. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a man. I picked a good interviewee here. That's a lot of information in one. Like, if this were a YouTube video, this would be a content farm. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is good stuff right here. So I guess I'll go ahead and catch up on chat. Novell wanted to let me know that Twitch police will get me if I say the C word.
You're not. Don't worry about it.
Donnie said that it was relatable when you were talking about your work schedule. He also said the video was a work of art, truly. Fusion says he's eating cheese and that he ate a lot of cheese. Donnie says they've added a bunch of stuff to Yuppie Psycho since they last played it. Aesthetic is so good. Polio says he's gonna fully play Honey Pop, uncensored, not clickbait. She showed me her what?
Wow.
And then Fusion says that I should say Cracker again. I said it again. There you go. All right. Well, I'm probably just gonna pop Ultra Kill up on the screen, honestly, because I like Ultra Kill. But
thank you, by the way, Donnie. I'm glad that you enjoyed that because I don't know. I guess sometimes when you don't edit for a while, you're kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? So I'm glad that like a lot of it turned out well. I need to get some of the mixing. Some of my sound mixing's not good anymore, but I will work on that in time.
Oh, Polio says that he has a question.
Oh no. Oh, Pollo. Never mind. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah. It's not Sans. We're safe. Yeah. What's your question, Polio? Hit us. Hit him. Because I guess it's not me who's being interviewed here. What happened after you mowed down that family of 3 in 2021? I'm not sure this is a lore-accurate question, Polio.
I'm here on stream. What do you mean? What happened to me afterwards?
See? Yeah, he's completely fine.
Yeah.
Donnie thinks
Can't
it's
say the same
funny.
for the
Sans
family,
is
but-
angry that we were scared of his question. But yeah, so play Bloons. I might play some Bloons later, just for you. But yeah, that's all interesting stuff there for sure. I definitely relate to the like being concerned part about like, I don't know, just like you just haven't streamed in a while because like a lot of things happened in my personal life this year that made streaming like, I was not very motivated to stream. I'm not even gonna lie. So coming back today, like, and I almost did it again today because like I came off of work. I'm like, I went to bed at 2:30 in the morning last night. I'm sleepy. So, but like, I had this lined up, so I couldn't just be like, you know what, Blackjack, we're doing it next week, you know, because like that's a week. That's a whole week of time that I would have to just say goodbye to, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? This is just enough of extrinsic motivation for me to not cancel today. Is it too loud? Here, I'll turn it down. There you go. One volume.
I have a stream muted, so I can't
Thank you,
tell.
Fusion.
But it's only because like we're talking. So
Right. But yeah, so it's just enough extrinsic motivation to not want to do things. Yeah, Donnie felt that. It's just, I don't know. 2023 has just been weird. It's like the first time in my life where I can like, it's like I'm still pretty young. I'm 19. I turned 20 in like a month or two. It's just one of those, like, it's the first time I've had a year where I can actually like confidently say, you know, this year parts of it kind of sucked. I don't know. My reactions to like conflict in my own life is just, it's just been interesting because a lot of weird stuff's happened in my life with my home life. Granted, it's not been as like egregious as like Donnie's home life from what I could tell, but like, you know, everybody has their own struggle. It's just how it be sometimes.
yeah.
But yeah, that was some interesting stuff for sure. I don't know. I feel like I had other thoughts for that, but like, you know, it's a flowing conversation. You lose them.
I went through a
sometimes.
lot, so
We'll probably hit back on a couple more ideas over time. It's rough out there, man. It really do be rough out here. Tough times are in the bodega sometimes. Anyways, I suppose we should move on to question 2, perhaps.
all right.
Well, I'll read what Fusion has to say first. Parts of this past year definitely sucked for you, but on contrast, you wound up finding one of your favorite gaming experiences in a while. Oh boy, do tell. But yeah, where's question 2? Let's see. 1B2 Fusion, God, Library of Ruina. All right, so the question I wanted to ask was, why did you start bartending? What
Man.
led you to it back in the day?
God, this is a question. Yeah, I wonder if like, well, first, I imagine Library of Ruina is what like Neon White was for me in 2021. I played that game to obsession. But I hate speedrunners. I genuinely dislike speedrunners. Hate them to death. God, do I love Neon White.
Like
it does not
speedrunning
matter.
games, or just you just don't like people who speedrun?
No, I just don't like speed running games like where they go. It's like
Yeah.
get there as quickly as you can, and it's like, oh god, this is why is this so stressful? But
That's fair.
no, Neon White had the opposite effect on me. Neon White is like, no, I can get there faster. I can do it.
That's kind of awesome that a game made you enjoy that.
All right.
The big
So
question.
bartending. What was I doing when I was in college at this point?
Oh no, I'm in college.
So you ever I did theater when I was in high school and when I was in college. So
Yeah.
sometimes, afterwards it's like you always hear about like, oh hey, we're gonna go and there's gonna be like a party and everybody goes to like somebody's house and then we're just there, we're just partying and having a good time.
Yeah, you're like college and high school kids. It checks out. That's just what you
Yeah.
do.
So around that time, I just kind of like, it was like we would always go to like a party or something, and it's just like, oh man, here's jungle juice, here's like just random thing mixed with like the whatever mixer you have. So it's like something in Mountain Dew or something in Red Bull or something, and it's just like, man, these suck. So I remember the fraternity I was in college. We I just finally was like, bro, this shit sucks. I hate this. Why don't we actually like look up some recipes and stuff and like actually make something that's good? Because like I just wanted a better environment and like a more fun time for everybody than just constantly going to just be like, oh man, we're just partying and whatever. Like let's it's just
Yeah.
this
Add
is what
some
we
life
have.
into it.
So I had actually made I went out of my way to look up a recipe for like, like different shots and things that you could make. And that was actually, believe it or not, was like my first experience, quote unquote, bartending because I was just learning how to make drinks, even though I had never worked in a restaurant before. So I was just like, oh man, like look at this cool, I would make something. I'd be like, yo, check this out, and they would like try it and like shit, that's like really good. So I had like a very popular like blueberry like blue raspberry like lemonade flavored
Oh,
drink that I had ended up making, and
like
all
this
we
is
would
like
do is
non-alcoholic, or is this one?
no, I mean I could make it non-alcoholic, but it was alcoholic. But
Ah,
you could, but it was like it was one of those things where it's like, okay, cool, I can just make a batch of this and like this sells us for like the night, we're good. And it wasn't as overpowering or just like, man, we're just here to get, and like it also like saves money too.
uh-huh.
But like that was like the first time that I was like, man, I like this idea of like making drinks. Like I could definitely do this in person. So I was working at I was working retail at the time. I can't remember where. But there was a restaurant right next to us. It was a Mexican restaurant. And I was just like, well, I hear that like if you do like service industry, like you get your money in your hand at the end of the day. I was like, that sounds cool. Apply it there. Because I was like just managing retail at the time. And I got the job and I was like, cool. This place also didn't have many bartenders there. So we ended up, what ended up happening was that I started off serving. I was doing serving first, and they saw that I could talk and that like I could remember orders like without a book in my hand. Like I
That's
almost made it
insane.
like I would remember like, if like you were a table like a party of 10 and everybody ordered like a different sort of like fajita, and then like one of you were like, I want double rice, the other one's like, I want like refried beans or right, like what, it did not matter. I would remember it to a T, to the point that tables would literally just be impressed by the fact they were just like, there's no way you're gonna remember this. And like I would come back to the table like, how did you, that's impressive. And so that's what kind of actually got me in the door to being a bartender there, because they were like, well, how old are you? And I was like, it's just turned 21 not too long ago. And they're like, okay, cool. We actually want to teach you, like what's your experience with alcohol. And so I was just kind of like, I don't know, man, like I've mixed drinks at parties before. And so they were like, oh, well, okay, cool. That is when I learned bartending is a completely different thing. It is not the same.
Right.
Knowing how to make a drink is not the same thing as bartending. So I had finally gotten behind there. I had like studied like the booklet, and I'm like, oh man, now I know how to make like a Long Island iced tea. I know how to make all these other things. Cool. It is not until you sit there, like, so how I got into it was thinking like, okay, making drinks sounds cool. I can do this. This sounds like fun. My actual start was, I remember they were like, well, you know, he can handle like a night crowd, you know, sure. Let's have him go ahead and bartend for it was like a random like Tuesday night where like some company was having like an event or something.
Uh-huh.
You learn very quickly. There's a thing in bartending that's called a service well. Your service well is basically when, so not only are you bartending for the people in front of you, you're also bartending for everybody in the restaurant.
Right.
So you have to keep that in mind while you're also taking care of your own customers.
That's insane.
So while this party function is going on, we have a little ticket system, and the ticket is just going while I also have about 20 people in front of me who are like, yeah, can I have like your specialty margarita? Can I have this? Can I have this? Blah, blah, blah. And
yeah, they're just drinking. They're just having a good time.
They're just having a good time, but I'm also just getting my ass kicked. Like, I genuinely cannot keep up. Like, I was not that comfortable with, like, I always say this. You can tell how long somebody has bartended based on how much they have to look at something. So, if I were back at, like, my old spot or whatever, if you had told me, like, I want a vodka martini, absolute whatever, right? I know just, like, from muscle memory, I just know if I just extend my arm right behind me, just a little bit to the left, it's like, that's where the absolute bottle is. I should be able to grab that. In the well is my vermouth bottle. I can make this easy. After like 10 years of like bartending, it's like, I know where everything is. I know where everything is supposed to be. I can make this within 30 seconds. I got asked for like a margarita, and I'm just sitting there and I'm looking at the bottles. I'm like, is this the right one? Is this one? Is it this one? And then it's like, you finally find it, and 30 seconds has gone by and 2 more tickets have popped up. You've now
terrifying.
got servers are in the well looking at you like, hey, we don't have a drink here. My manager then at some point had to come back. It was one of the most embarrassing, but like also like it made me understand like, okay, there is a lot more to this than I thought. I just thought like if you were a bartender, you're the cool person. No, it's not that at all. There's so much work that goes into it, and so much like knowledge and being like prepared and understanding how to control so much of it. But I actually started to get kind of addicted to it a little bit because once I actually got good at it and I started to understand my job, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist at times, I started to be able to just kind of make drinks and do my job in my sleep. And that's where I started kind of seeing money. And that's when all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay. Maybe this is the thing I can do, because, you know, I don't have to immediately go find a sit down job or anything like that. It's like, this is enough money for me. I can live off of this, and, you know, allows me to be like, you know, I can go to like a restaurant nearby. Everybody knows who I am. So it's like, you know, it's cool. So, yeah, it was also like a nice way for me to stay social as well as an adult, because, you know, it's like once you're out of college, it's like, sure, you can keep in contact with your friends and whatnot, but it's like,
yeah, like what do you do?
They're not going to be in your realm the same way they were when they're in college. You know, some of them are like, hey, we're already ready to go start families, because like this has been my girlfriend for all 4 years of college, or it's like I've known my girlfriend since high school, and like we're ready to move on to that stage of our life. There are some people who are just like, oh man, I just got I'm going to college now, like on the other side of the country. So
yeah, grad school and all that junk.
Exactly. So because of that, it's like you don't interact the same way. And so bartending kind of kept a lot of my not just even, I don't want to even say social skills. It just kept my social life more intact. So.
Yeah. And this was like at a Mexican place, this whole thing?
Yeah,
that's insane that you were pulling that kind of money.
It all started at a Mexican restaurant, yeah. Which that's why like margaritas are my specialty. Because I bartended at a Mexican restaurant, not the same one, for about a year or two, and then I was in a specialty spot in Brooklyn for a little bit. Then I was just I moved, and then all of a sudden it was just kind of like, all right, well, I don't immediately have a job here, so service industry it is.
That's
And then
insane.
I ended up bartending. Yeah, I've literally, this is even when I had like a 9 to 5 job, like 5, 6 years ago, I was still bartending on the side. Like I found like a nice little hibachi Japanese place. And their bar business went from, well, it's a place where people get takeout orders to I suddenly would have half the bar full.
Oh,
When
because you were
people
just
found
that
out
good.
that they were, well, here's the thing. When you have someone behind bar who doesn't actually like bartend or know how to make drinks,
The bar
people
just kind of
aren't going to go there
sucks.
to ask for drinks. They're
Yeah.
going, they're just like, because essentially their function was just to do takeout, but they had a bar area. So when I came in and they found out that I could bartend, I would actually tell people, I would sell it on the fact that it's just like, yeah, you want a drink? I can make you something. Like I would actually be selling the drinks and proactively doing it. And so
Yeah.
all of a sudden they were like, oh, this is actually a bar spot. Okay. So yeah.
But it's like more of like a cool bar spot than like an actual bar.
Yeah, well, I mean, think of it this way. Depending on like where you are or what you're, I mean, you could find like a comfort bar spot anywhere. It can even be in places where it's like it's more of a restaurant than it is like an actual bar. Like I'm sure when people think like bar, we're kind of like thinking something like a dive bar area or maybe something that's a little bit like quote unquote classier or whatnot. Where it's just like we just serve alcohol and that's it. Like even like Irish bars that are kind of like that. Every bar that I have worked at, except for one was actually a tavern style bar where it's like, hey, listen, it is you and two other bartenders here. You have literally the entire restaurant. Have fun,
Have fun.
kind of deal.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But that was the only one that I worked at where it was like, it is just alcohol. Every other place that I've worked at was like, hey, here's alcohol and we also have food too. But the bar scene itself, it's not just about like, oh, hey, the place is just a bar. It's like, is it a place that I want to go to? Are these people that I want to hang around? Is the
Yeah, because
bartender
it depends on
actually
the
kind of-
people.
yeah, is the bartender actually kind of all right? Like, is he cool? Is this a person that I want to like actually go and see? Am I happy when this person is here? It's a lot of and this applies not even to just like bartending. It applies to like a lot of things in life. Wherever you work. If you don't have an environment where people want to be there, it doesn't matter how good the thing is. They'll find somewhere where they feel at home.
Exactly.
So the feeling of like, even if like something bad is going on, if the response back that you get is like, but you know what, like you guys always take care of us no matter what. That's what you want to hear more than anything else is that, the people that you're responsible for are taken care of. And I think that is the biggest part of bartending. Also, you never, there's just a general service industry thing where it's just like, don't mess with like, your guests and stuff like that. Like they're people. Like that's money that they bring in. That's money that they spend. Don't fuck with them. Don't do that. That's
yeah, right.
bad idea in general.
That's interesting. Would you say
Someone
finding
said,
like a oh
oh, go ahead.
oh I was about to ask, do you think finding like a good bar spot is like difficult for people?
No. No, I mean you can always find it. It's like even the bar spot that I go to now, it's like the bartenders have been there for years and they've worked together for years. Like it's the same core. Like even when they bring in someone new, it's like the new guy then gets acclimated with everybody else there and it still feels like the same place.
Okay.
And even this place is just like, it's not like a like if I told you where it was and like where the location is, like you would laugh and be like, there's a good bar and like there, and it's like, yeah, actually, yeah, it's a fun place to be. It's a good environment. The people there are awesome. The regulars that they bring in are really cool. So yeah, I mean, like
interesting.
finding home like at a bar isn't hard, unless like it only becomes difficult when it's like The thing that sucks is that after a while, people grow and people go on to do different things, right? So
Yeah.
even my first spot that I was at when I first moved down here was just like, I'm like, I go to this place all the time. I know all the bartenders here by name. Like I've hung out with them. I've been at like their houses, like just chilling out, like watching movies at like 3 a.m. You know what I mean? Like I know these people. And when one left, and then another left, and then another left, all within like the like 6 months of just them leaving, the whole place changed. It wasn't the same place anymore. And it was like the bartenders were a lot different. The way that they treated you was a lot different. The service that you got was a lot different. And because of that, like I stopped going because it didn't feel like the same place. I actually would go out of my way at times to be like, hey, where are you guys at now? And I would just go visit them there. And it was like, oh man, I feel like I'm right. Like the food and everything is different. The restaurant's different, but it's like, okay, but I got my bartender back again.
Yeah, that's crazy how much value that like one bartender could bring to that kind of environment.
Oh yeah. I learned that from a very good friend of mine down here, where it's just like, yeah, she left one place, and I kid you not, the place that she went to was like doing slow business, and they found out she was going somewhere, and they literally followed her. They were just like, all
That's
right, yep,
insane.
we'll be there. Say no more. We'll be right there.
Wow. Well, I guess that's probably a good amount of content from that question, so we can catch up on the chat now. Still have nightmares about orders coming in when you're a line cook. That sounds rough, Donnie. I like my desk job where I do absolutely nothing, even if it's like $8 an hour.
Line cooks are insanely underpaid, considering I know some of the hours that some of them have to put in, and also how sometimes those hours do not get documented. So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
service industry, as somebody had said it earlier, I think it was Poyo. Yeah, I would never take a restaurant job. Every sounds like it like, depending on where you, like, I mean, there are some restaurants where it's like, you know, legally they're like a major company or something like that, so like there are protections in place. Most places ain't like that though. Most places, like, and even some corporate ones, they don't care. Wage theft and food service is insane.
That's why I don't work
insane.
food service. Food service is scary. Yeah. Every story sounds like your own personal war. Man, where you work, there's a lot of tension between the cooks and the tip positions because they made so much money. Yeah.
Yeah. I always had a rule about this, where, and I would tell servers this too. I'm like, don't fucking piss off the cooks. Like, that's the last person you want to piss off. Don't do that.
Like, make your life hell, I imagine.
Well, first of all, yes, they're gonna make your life hell. Second of all, there's a great chance you're probably making more money than them. Like, I understand that there's pressure on you from the table to get the food out there, but it's also just kind of like, remember
your place.
Well, it's not even just remember your place. It's just like, remember, you're a team. Like, y'all have to work together. You know,
Right, yeah. It's a team.
If you piss off your cook, whatever their name is, it's like, okay, cool. They're going to remember when your order comes up. And then when your food ain't coming out on time, that's on you. Like, because they're going to remember, okay, well, this person just wants to sit here and just like yell at me all the time. Or, the best one too is that cooks will remember if you run food or not. They'll look and they'll see who's the one who's actually like running around and getting something done, or like, you know, if we're busy. And it's just like the cooks will remember that. It's just, you know, it's not fun because it's like sometimes like, that's not how a restaurant should work. It shouldn't be like vindictive where everybody's each other. But when you as a server have that mentality sometimes of just like, you know, you're getting pissy with the kitchen or you're getting pissy with the line, instead of like, listen, if you get a manager involved and like, you know, it's like a legitimate gripe, like, okay, the manager will take care of it. Don't go and start your own battle in the back, because that does nothing for anyone. There's no point in doing it. And it's like, yeah, again, it's like, they don't get paid as much as you are, because, you know, it's like, I can't tell you how many times it's like, serving wise, if it's a busy night, I have definitely made more in the kitchen that night. It's not even close.
Yeah, and that's like all because of like the tips, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, so the cooks in the back weren't making more than like 13. She just says he's very decided never to go into food service. Retail is one thing, but he's not built for food service. I'm not either. I'm gonna be real. I'm built to sit at a desk. Wage theft is crazy. I still wages from the other way around my job. That's insane. 15-hour days with no breaks. What the hell?
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, I do too, but like, man, even Walmart make sure you get your legal half hour or hour or so.
I have seen like, yeah, the waitress and a cook. Oh, and good lord, if they ever have anything involved with each other, which that does happen a lot too. It's like you will find just like cook ends up hitting on like a server or something like that, or the other way around, and then all of a sudden there's drama. Just if anything goes wrong between them, yeah, no, that's also a thing that happens. But it's like, yeah, no, like. Legit, I have seen fights on the line. I've seen fights in the like the expo line. I've seen it all. Like it happens. I've once gotten into a fight with somebody on an expo line. It just like, God, it's just such a like, service industry is so unnecessarily stressful. Like unnecessarily stressful.
Yeah, that sounds like actually insane. Yeah, they told you were a no-call, no-show. A waitress and a cook getting into a fist fight. Okay, a fist fight sounds awesome. I'm just saying. That sounds like an entertainment for the day. It's crazy.
Oh, it always is, because then it becomes the subject of conversation for a while. And
yeah.
Everyone's talking about it.
And you get to just digest the topic for like a week straight. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Fun fact, in North Carolina, yes, that is true. They legally do not have to, they don't have to give you any breaks.
That's insane.
That's actually how I ended up. Well, so I had one thing going against me. I don't smoke. And so because of the fact that I don't smoke, I couldn't give myself an excuse to take a break or anything like that, except for, hi, I would really like to take a break. And so what would end up pissing me off was that, like, listen, almost everybody I worked with smoked, right? There's one particular person who would need to take a smoke break and I kid you not, at least once every single hour. And it could be like the busiest time is just like, man, I just gotta go take a smoke break real quick. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, we're busy right now. Like, dude, like, what do you mean? And they would just let them.
That's insane.
For me, where I'm just like, we just got our ass kicked. And I'm like, all right, cool. I just cleared out the well. I just need cover for 2 minutes, please. I would like to like have a water, chill out, like eat some food. And they're just like, nah, man, you can't take a break right now. And I'm like, like, they're just like, yeah, we're just busy. Like we actually need like food runners. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, please give me a break. Yeah.
That's insane.
Donnie's, yeah, it's just like, if you better pick up like smoking a cigarette or you're never getting a break. It does not happen.
And this is just in North Carolina. So like you worked in North Carolina?
Yeah. So I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no, it's exactly like that, where it's like, it's not even just, well, so here you're not legally required to give a break, but like even in other places, it's like, even when I was back in Jersey, it was like, again, if you smoked, guess what? Everyone else here, everyone else in the restaurant smokes. So like you would even have like managers who are like, I'm going on smoke break, and then everyone's going on a smoke break, and everybody's out there in the back near a trash can, like huddled up, and like, you know, they're having a smoke.
Yeah,
and then it's
but
like,
except for the poor schmuck who doesn't, right?
Except for the two people, yeah, who are just like, we don't smoke, and like we're just there, and it's like, all right, cool. I guess we're keeping the restaurant afloat for a minute.
Yeah, I don't want to have lung disease later in life. Thanks. Like, what the hell? That's insane. That's actually insane. I did not know that. I learned something new today. I'm learning a lot of new things today, actually.
Watch the movie Waiting. It's not like 1000% accurate, but it is insanely close to what like most restaurants are kind of like.
That's crazy.
A walk-in freezers. Okay, so Donnie just said she missed having a walk-in freezer to cry in. Mine was because I was in charge of alcohol. It would be the walk-in like our beer cooler. So it's just like, and I always have my spot like laid out where it's like there's 2 kegs I can just sit on, I just sit there and just chill for like
Contemplate your life.
3, 4, 5 minutes.
That's insane. Yeah. Your stomach hurt. That's a pretty good excuse. I would have just like claimed that I had like, I don't know, like a giant tear in my stomach that gives me constant stomach aches or something. I don't know. The bear. That's crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was a good question. That was a good question. Lots of information from one question.
I'm also a bit of a storyteller, so
it helps. It helps. So we're caught up on chat now. I don't really have anything to like contribute. I don't know. We could talk about my desk job for a small moment. Like, it's a pretty good little gig. I mean, the only 2 complaints I could have about it is like the pay, because it's it's like $8 an hour. But I feel like that's justifiable because of the how much nothing I do on that desk. It's fantastic. Like, believe me when I say I do like absolutely nothing when I'm like, I sit there, like there's nobody, like there's no students coming in, so you believe me when I'm just gonna sit there and I'm just gonna play Sonic for the hour. That's what I'm gonna do with my hour. And the shifts are like they're usually about 4 hours long, but like during the weekdays, like school's going on, they become just an hour long. But not much goes on. Like, sure, sometimes there's a student that gives you smack, but like otherwise it seems like more tame than most customer service stories I've heard. But you have a serious question, what is it? But as far as customer service goes, I feel like it's pretty easy. Pretty lucky.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't walk out of the college with $12K in my hand a week, but
I mean, hey, that's not. Listen, I promise you, it's probably better and more sane for you. And like customer service skills are a good thing to have.
For sure.
Oh, you said something, and I was going to. What did it remind me of? About the pay thing. This is like one of the biggest things that I talk about. I used to really talk about it a lot too. I was working a sales job for a little bit, like probably about like 5 years ago. And I remember someone there was complaining about the fact that like McDonald's workers were like asking for like more pay and stuff. And you're talking to a guy who used to work a drive-through, and also like worked service industry, worked restaurants, bars.
Yeah, drive-through just sounds like hell.
Oh, it is fucking hell.
And you don't even get to pay for it in return.
I worked at a place where I was doing fast food, and I was getting paid $8.50 an hour, and I was like, "This is no way."
But that's not worth it for $8.50 an hour.
It is not. So, I had made a comment to him where I was like, I had a general idea of what our pay was, and I had just said, "We get paid XY. We get paid XY an hour. Sit here, and all we're doing is." We're picking up a phone blindly at times and dialing numbers and, hoping somebody picks up and, we can make a sale here. And, like his first response was just like, well, there's like, well, how do you know how much I make? And I'm like, well, if I just started here and I make this, then you have to be making somewhere around that, right? It got really quiet because he didn't want to talk money at that point. But my point was that, like, how can you tell them that their job is worthless? It's like, oh, they shouldn't be making like 15 an hour, when my job is X, Y, and Z. It's just like, it doesn't matter. Like, the work that we do, we are currently cozy sitting at a desk picking up a phone and then typing stuff into a computer. Like, that's our, and then we go home at 5 o'clock and it's over. And
is that like your current job?
No. This is my old sales job.
Oh, okay.
And then, I was just like, fast food employees, like food service people, like if somebody calls out that day, they're now stuck for another 2-3 hours. The work that they're doing when it is like busy, and even when it's not busy, it's just like they have to man so many stations. It's not just like, I still remember I was, when I was working fast food, it was just like, I am taking the order on the headset while also having to monitor and pay attention to how many cars are coming through. And sometimes while I'm taking that order on the headset, I've got 2 to 3 minutes to make that order or else there's going to be a problem now all of a sudden because we're going to get jammed up. It is me and 3 other people on the line. One person is in charge of making drinks. I'm in charge of like the drive-through and making sure that things get distributed while also helping out the kitchen. Also helping out the line. And then there's one person that is dedicated to the line. And it is all of us essentially having to do about 5 to 6 jobs all at once and making sure that this runs at the desired amount of time where it's like, okay, this is getting done within like 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm just like, they're doing that for hours and they're on their feet and physically moving around.
Yeah.
They're doing way more work than you sitting here. And that's not that's not a slight at people who sit at a desk. I'm currently
No, it's more of a jab at the people who are paying these people, right? Like they deserve more money than that.
It's just like, yeah, like you can't don't say that you deserve more money by punching down. You can acknowledge that others also deserve more pay and that they should get more pay without looking at them and being like, they don't deserve anything. I deserve that. Like that's silly.
Yeah, it's like comparing like traumas. It's just like not ideal.
No,
that's crazy. I know Poyo said he had a serious question. After you quit bartending, what made you go for computer stuff and instead of finding another bar? He says.
So I had actually 2 years ago, I had actually gotten a job. Well, I had gotten an offer to become. I was finally going to leave the bar. Like I had ammunition. The place that I was working at, I genuinely had gotten to a point where it was making me so unhappy that like I was starting to not enjoy being around people, not enjoy the work I was doing. I genuinely did not like my manager there. It's a whole nother thing I can talk about like at a different time, but it's like, I was just so over it. There was so much of it that I was just done with. I felt like I would look at my schedule and just see like, let me see if I can just pull up an example here. Hang on. Let's see. God, I gotta go back for this. Hang on a minute. I promise this won't take too long.
Yeah,
but it's like
I can ramble for a bit if you'd like.
Here we go. Where I'd look at my schedule and my schedule would just be nuts. It's like, okay, we have here's what it is. We would get a message and be like, hey, there are 2 open shifts. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my schedule and it's like Monday, 5 o'clock, bartend, close. Tuesday, 6 o'clock, bartend, close. Wednesday, 10:30, bartend, open. And mid shifts means that you are not just taking your open shift, you're going from your open shift and then you're also doing the cover because there's an event that's going on that day. So this particular day, there was a sports event like going on. And so guess what? That means we're going to be busy during that time. So now I'm going not from 10 to 5, I am going from 10 to 7 or 8 o'clock and just working all the way through that with the other bartender. Great. Get to Thursday. Oh, great. You just worked a 10-hour shift yesterday. Fantastic. We need a server in the morning and we need a server in the evening because there's nobody else here. Friday. Hey, you want to open serve? Great. You can have off Friday night if you like. We got enough people for that. Everybody can somehow magically be there Friday night, but God forbid there's any other day of the week they can't be there. Saturday, it's like, well, I still want to make my money because Friday night's supposed to be my money shift. So you're going to give me Saturday, right? And so I would get Saturday. So I would get my Saturday night serve shift. And then Sunday, it's like, okay, come in and do bar. And there's still 2 shifts just out there where they're like, we need someone to cover this. And I'm like, you're going to call me and this sucks. I'm already like 10 shifts deep. What the fuck do you mean? Like, find someone. Like there are enough people. Well, first of all, there were enough people there to do it. But they just like they wouldn't push them the same way they would push me. They pushed me around because they felt like they had there was always an out. They wanted to get rid of me. They never liked me. But the problem is that the guests did. Everybody in the restaurant
like you kind of have the control there, don't you?
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like so to go back to Poyo's question, I got into a point where I was getting tired of that, where I was overworking myself to make the money where I feel like I can just, do things that I want to do and kind of spend freely. So I got into an interview with a place where they actually didn't really have a bartender there, and they wanted a head bartender to kind of take over. So I had literally developed a drink menu for them.
That's kind of awesome.
They let me do like a sample for them for like their for like what drinks I would bring in and what I would do. And all of a sudden they were just like, okay, we'll let you control your schedule. We'll pay you, you'll still get tipped, and we'll pay, I think they were going to pay me like 8 or 9 an hour, which that's amazing because by the way, if your restaurant is not good and you're not actually making tips there, you don't get paid, hourly for it, depending on what state you live in.
Yeah. Cause like, that's how tips work.
North Carolina is one of them where it's just like, if you don't make, the federal minimum, which I believe is $7.25. Yeah, it all goes to your taxes, correct. All of it goes to your taxes. So if you don't make the federal minimum of $7.25, you actually do get a check. But the thing is that in service industry, you don't want a check. No. You have to, if you're not making the money off of your tips and it's coming out of you're getting a check, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
You absolutely do not want that. But if a job is actually going to pay you a paycheck, and then you could still get tipped on top of it, that's a good situation. That's much better. So that was what they were going to do. They were going to have me do a manager bar hybrid, because the bar person there that was their bar manager was fairly new, and I actually had a lot of talks and experience with like reps. So they were like, okay, cool. You know this person? I'm like, yeah, I know them. I can talk to them X, Y, and Z. And so I was like, shit, I'm about to be made. It's about to be I'm going to work 2 managed shifts. I'm going to work 3 bar shifts. I get all nights. If I wanted to take a 4 shift, I could, and I would have been done, and I would have been good. I'm like, I don't care about the money at this point. I've got it. And the only reason I did not take it, I did not take it because there was finally a management shift that was happening at the place I was at.
Oh.
And I was getting back 2 people that I really always wanted to work with again. And so I stayed.
Do you think that was a mistake?
A few ways, yes.
But in a few ways it led to your current job, didn't it?
It did lead to my current job, but the fun part about it was that bringing us all together was essentially a lineup to try to get rid of all 3 of us. And I didn't realize that was their plan. And the other part of it, too, is that I was a little bit more headstrong than at the time than the 2 of them coming in. I think they read the situation a lot differently than I did. I came in with the mentality of like, oh my God, we're here. We can do this. Like,
it's the boys, it's the fellas.
Like, it's us again. It's like we got the old crew back again. This is going to be easy. Like, the changes that we're going to make are going to make sense. Like, people are going to love like the changes that we actually make, because it's going to go back to the way that we had it like a while ago. But also, like, we're experienced and we know how to make drinks and stuff like that. That wasn't the right read. Because even with that happening, the plan was the plan was that like they were planning to get rid of us. That was always the plan, and that sucked. But thankfully,
that's so fucked up.
It is. But thankfully, I was able to stretch it out long enough where it's like, they still couldn't get rid of me. And by the time that they were finally like, oh, well, you're actually the only person here that actually does the work, and was giving me what I wanted. So I was actually getting 4 closes and 1 open a week bar, and I'd never touched a service floor again. And I was really happy. What ended up happening was that I was like, screw this. No, I'm going to do something else. So it was funny. I got to give them the, nope, I'm not doing this anymore treatment.
That's
so
why
did I go into computer stuff? So I built my own computer back in 2018.
The gamer.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it's like, I started doing streaming on Twitch, and I was doing a very stupid thing. I decided to do that all on a laptop. I had a Lenovo Yoga. I'm not kidding.
On a Lenovo? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
I had a Lenovo Yoga. I knew like when my family said like, oh well, he's the tech person, like he knows what to do. It's like I am competent enough with computers and phones that like, yeah, this is simple. I can do this. Yeah, like how do you change this? It's like, okay, yeah, it's this function button. But like in terms of like knowing the specs and like understanding like the insides and outs of it, I was just like, I don't know. So I watched a video from Bitwit, Kyle, about how to build a computer because all of a sudden my yoga like just died one day.
Oh,
I only had it for like 5 months. And so I was like, well,
I'm not
I still
putting
got a
up
whole
with
bunch
this.
So I built my own computer, and then I was like, oh shit, I can just
I
open
could
this
just
thing
do
up and
that.
just modify it, and there we go. All right, tight. Um, and then like I'd done enough like troubleshooting on like software and programs and stuff. Oh, this also helps. I should mention this. I also used to do healthcare IT 10 years ago.
Oh,
So I did have an IT job beforehand.
that's what
Um,
my friend does right now. He works at a hospital.
yeah. So I had like some experience, and then I just finally said, screw this. I'm gonna get a book to learn like the basic like how to actually do things on a computer. And I'm just gonna start applying places. And 3 months later, after doing that, job popped up. Did the interview. It was scary at first, and now it's like, oh, this is cool. I enjoy. And now it's just like I come and I do like I come home and like I challenge myself on different things. It's like, okay, can I build this? So what can I do to like modify my computer here and do this? What
Yeah.
kind of environments can I like destroy? Like a lot of that's like really fun to me to do now because it's like I get to simulate what problems I might run into and also like how to actually like if somebody's like so no because now I have like friends that come to me and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a Mac. They said like Macs don't get viruses, and I'm like, all right, let's actually have a talk for a minute.
Because like you're true. Like that's
Yeah,
it's true.
it's true, but I don't
But
think you want
is
to
it worth
shovel
the
out.
cost?
Yeah, I don't think you want to shovel out $2,000 for something when you can. There is a solution for this that's much cheaper if you just understand some basic things about a computer. So,
Yeah, man. That was an interesting tangent. Like we're already an hour in. Can you believe that? We haven't even hit question 3.
man,
Maybe.
this is what hanging out with me is like. By the way, if you ever meet me in person and like we're just sitting down chilling, like say we're just like at a bar and just like having like a drink or something, I unless the conversation is unbelievably boring to me, it's like I'll go for as long as you want. I don't really care.
Yeah. I have a friend that like created this. I don't know. It was like magic. Just this kind of atmosphere where it's like you give enough detail for it to like still feel like a conversation and a story, but like it's the right amount of detail where somebody who's paying attention can latch on to certain things you say, and that can start a whole new tangent.
Yep.
It's based. Let's see.
So question 3.
Yeah. I'll catch up
It's
on
crazy
chat real
we're
quick,
only
though.
3, yeah.
Fusion always just tries to be the nice person out in public. Yeah, I find that's the least you can do when people are in customer service. I'm not upset at all working this easy desk job for 8 an hour, but I would be upset
Also,
if I
Donnie's
was
correct. Food service does destroy your body. That is absolutely true.
Desk service does not destroy your body. Real fact from a desk worker. There you go. DB is here. Hello, DB.
What do
DB
you do when you're
says
nauseous?
they're nauseous.
Asking for a friend. I
False.
hate to say this. I don't get nauseous often, and even when I do, I just like drink water.
That's funny. I just take stomach medicine because I'm kind of the same way. So I just take a little stomach medicine, and that usually squares me up. Poor Frost, still on the Mac. Got nerve damage doing your desk job. Well, my desk job is just better, I guess. Anyways, question 3. What did you do with your pay? Because like your pay was pretty insane, right? Just from the tips.
So one was a lot of stream extensions.
I remember that. I was there for that.
I mean, like it would depend, because like it would just fluctuate. Like I always tell this story.
Shut up.
Here's how wild service industry can go, right? I remember like sometimes during the summer it can be really slow, and there are days where it's like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna make $100 today. And you
Oh,
go and you leave the restaurant and it's like, here's like $50, $75. There are some nights it is so slow. You walk in there and manager just goes, thanks for coming in. You can go home for today. We don't need you. It's just we don't need a person here. And so all of a sudden the job that you were going to go and make money, you're going home and you have no money. And that feeling can be different depending on what your financial situation is. For me, maybe like those first couple of years, it was very stressful to hear, what do you mean you don't need anybody today? I came here to work. Does anybody else want to go home or something
yeah.
like that? But like, yeah, you would have moments like that. And then I still remember this to this day. Place I worked at, NCAA tournament was going on. They actually had me come back on for the night shift, and I left out of the restaurant that night with $950 in my hand.
Sheesh. That's
It's
insane.
not a joke. It's not a joke at all.
Like,
It's just that's how volatile it can be, where it's like
like
you
gambling.
can kind of, yeah. It's just like but that's also, well, it's gambling, but you also get to know like when events are coming up. It's just like,
Yeah.
do you know a big tournament's coming in? It's like, okay, yeah, hell yeah, let's
it's
go.
gambling, but you know half of the cards.
Yes.
That's insane. No, like that, like 2 of those kinds of shifts, and that pays my tuition for a semester, and then some. Like that's
Right.
insane.
So like with my pay, what would end up happening is that it's like, well, guess what? You work in service industry. So now all of a sudden, you do what service industry people do, which is, oh, great, we worked the shift. Let's go and complain about our shift this night, or let's complain about whatever's going on, like at the restaurant, as we go to another bar and just hang out. Now, sometimes the hangouts wouldn't be like that all the time, but like, there would be times where it's just like, okay, but the constant was that like you were going out to a bar, you're hanging out with your friends afterwards,
Yeah.
and then spending your money there. So I think I would say like if I were going to like local like a place like right nearby, getting a drink or something, I'd probably get like a drink, maybe a shot if I'm like there for like 2 hours. I'm like, okay, cool, and then get to go food. My bill would be like $25, and then it's like I leave you like a $20 or $25.
Yeah, just for fun.
Yeah. Well, it's also I believe in service karma. The money comes back to you, which the money always came back to me. So
That's fair.
it's like
That's interesting.
if I leave that money there for someone else, then that's the other thing too, is that they're just like, oh hey, like you work here at X, Y, and Z. Cool. I'm gonna give you some.
You suddenly became very quiet.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
Did I do something on my end, or like?
I don't know. I'm at about the.
Oh, my alarm came on. Okay, you're back.
Okay. But
Glad we
yeah,
figured that out.
it's it's like all of a sudden like those connections that you make with people at like bars, like then they come and visit you, and it's like, okay, yeah, these are friends, and it just becomes a giant circle where the money
That's
just constantly
insane.
goes around.
Yeah.
And it's nice. I do miss. There are parts of that I do miss.
That's insane. Cat Smirk, hello. I don't think I've seen you around before. How are you doing? But service karma. So like you would just spend it on random tips, stream extensions. Was there anything else your money kind of went to?
It went to a computer. So I ended up buying a new
True.
computer. It would go to a lot of it was just like building my stream and then like building up my YouTube channel, spending time on that. I also I'm trying to think. I also spent a lot of it on like charities and stuff. So I actually did a fundraiser with Trans Lifeline probably back in 2020, and then in 2021. So I was a part of like their fundraiser for like 2 years straight. And there was one stream that we did where we just had like a big drinking stream. It was me and like friend of mine, and then her wife, and she also actually used to do YouTube with me too.
Oh, yeah, I checked your YouTube. You had like 2K subscribers. I was like impressed.
Yeah, Let's Play YouTube has 2K. Sports YouTube has like 10K. But that's like I feel like that I don't. Like the sports one is coming back, but it's like it's a different, yeah, it's like a completely different niche. But I remember we had one stream where it was just going insane, where people were just giving donations. Like, I think our goal for the stream was just like, we set a goal of like $200 to give the Trans Lifeline, and we were like, okay, cool. We had 200 on like this one birthday stream that we're doing. That'll be nice. Be pretty cool. We ended up with $3,300 that night, and I started making challenges of just like, okay, if you guys get to this number, I'll match it. And I matched somewhere up to like, I think I matched somewhere up to like $300 or $400 that night. It's just
that's insane.
Like, it would go to like, I would just start putting my money back into like things that I like cared about, or people that I cared about, or you know, just improvements around the house and stuff like that.
I mean, like, if you don't need that money, you know, like, you're still young, you don't really have a need to save it for retirement yet, you know, like, why not just spend it on the things around you?
Yeah, and and the other thing too is that it's like, well, I can't take a vacation, my job doesn't let me, so it's
right.
Like, all right, cool, so I'm gonna go out and just enjoy my life and do that. So yeah, that money really allowed me to pretty much do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You could have been Mr. Beast.
Could have been Miss McCollin. I should have been more consistent on YouTube. Damn.
But yeah, that was an interesting question. Let me catch up on the chat real quick, especially because Catsmirk is here. What a great username. He just says it would destroy his body sitting down for 4 hours to make a model kit started, getting painful. Yeah, that's kind of fair. I mean, I don't mind it because I can kind of lounge in the chair, and I sit down at a desk all day anyway with my shitty ass posture. And I play baby sensory videos in the background. I'll keep it in mind for next time. You know how much? Oh, okay, DV. Right. I'm not gonna say that one out loud. Complaining is the best part of those jobs. Sans has a question. I hope it's a good one. Oh shit, an interview. Hello, some guy. Welcome. Yeah, Casper. We're just hanging around. This is my good friend Blackjack. He's I'm interviewing him like almost impromptu. Like, we planned this yesterday, basically, right?
Yeah. You know, that question just made me think about this. I forgot about that. I was there was a we dated, which was funny. There was a girl who had a Nintendo Switch, and I remember I was seeing her like outside, and I had seen that like, oh, like, cool, like, she like played games and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I've actually never played the Switch. Like, what's on it? And, you know, we talked about it for like an hour, and I think I want to say like 2 weeks later, we had 2 bartenders out. So I ended up working a this schedule was Monday open, Tuesday close, Wednesday close, Thursday close, Friday close, Saturday close, and then I got Sunday off. And during that week, I had made, I think I had made 2,700.
Whoa.
And I literally, all I did was like, okay, cool. I'm paying my rent. I literally, like, once my shift was over, I paid my rent. Oh no, I had to work Sunday morning. That's what happened. I had to work Sunday morning. I didn't work Saturday night. I worked Sunday morning. I got Saturday off. So Sunday morning, I got up. This is like, okay, cool. I'm going to a GameStop. I don't care. I went.
I'm buying out their entire stock.
Looked at a Nintendo Switch. I got like 5 like games to start off with. I learned that apparently you need to have an SD card for it. So I said, fuck it, give me the biggest one you got. They were like, hey, it's probably a lot better if you actually just went to like this store here and got a bigger card. The ones that we sell are like this small. And I'm like, cool, because I'll probably get some download stuff. I'm dead serious. I spent like $600 just like that.
And I mean, Nintendo's like, expensive, but like,
yeah. It just like, but like at that time, it just like, it was like, okay, cool. I still have like $2,100.
Yeah, it was just something you could do. Like, it was in your budget.
Yeah, like things like that just weren't a thought to me. Like now I think about it a little bit more, but like I'm okay with that because it's like, you know, I've had enough where I'm like I don't, it doesn't hurt me as much.
Yeah.
And I kind of like things being a little bit more consistent because it's caused me to be a lot more grounded, which I like.
That's super fair. I mean, I kind of get what you mean though, but like, it's almost addicting in a way, but like, for me, it's not something I could like do working those kinds of hours because like I stay at college interim, which means I just stay here over the breaks, and they give me free housing in exchange for working the desk. So I get free housing and a paycheck. You know, it's not bad. This job really isn't bad at all.
Service industry takes a special amount, a special certain kind of insane.
But
you have to be an insane person to do it.
Yeah, over the Thanksgiving break, I had some pretty crazy hours. It was like I worked like 48 hours, half of them like night shifts or whatever. I don't know. It was a pretty crazy. I can go check actually, but like the paycheck was nice, but like just having to go through that experience, waking up at like 4 a.m. on like Thanksgiving morning or something, it just wasn't necessarily like worth it, you know? Like it was just shit, and I can't imagine working those kinds of hours for like months of my life, even if it meant walking out with like 2K, you know? This is crazy.
Yep.
Where was it? Yeah, so I worked like a Thursday, the 23rd. It was a midnight to 4 a.m. Then I would sleep for like 8 hours, wake up at noon, go back until 4 p.m. Is this even right? When was this? No, was this the start of winter break? Yeah, maybe it was. I cannot tell.
Who knows?
Where are the other ones? You know, it doesn't particularly matter. Point is, it was crazy.
Yeah. It's I mean, work in general is always going to be crazy. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah, but I mean, at least in some places you have more control. You know, it doesn't have to feel crazy, you know? I suppose.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's just my naivety.
No, I think when your environment is a little bit more controlled and your hours are controlled, like, you know, if you're working at a library or like, you know, your bookstore at a college, things are a little bit more settled down in terms of like, you know, what your expectation is, where it's like
pretty predictable.
The service industry is such a diabolical and holy shit unregulated place in America that it's like the things you can get away with and the hours and the labor that you can exploit is just something that you walk into knowing. And as long as you accept those rules and you can play under those rules, there's money there for you.
Yeah.
It's not good, but there's money.
Yeah, that's interesting. Novell heard the word library and now he's flipping out.
I should have known better.
Yeah, so let's see what we missed. And I'll whisk away this question because I think we've answered that one pretty thoroughly. You need money so you can study in Japan. The IT job gives you nerve damage. That's freaky. Kira just says, Novell, shut up. Hello, Kira, by the way. And hi, Pika.
What's up,
I didn't say
Kira?
hi, Pika.
Hi,
Theo,
Pikachu.
she's right here. I haven't had any jobs yet, but you might want to start in retail. Retail's not bad. The hamster started running in his brain again. You've been here listening.
Do you have any
awesome.
fun customer stories from bartending?
Yeah, I forgot. I almost missed that.
A lot. I can talk about the one time a guy came in and it came in like really classy, like, you know, suit and everything. Just trying to impress this like much younger lady. And when it came time to pay, his card got declined for an $84 tab. Literally to the point that he started talking to her about getting the money together for it. He was about $1 short, went to his car, pulled out a can of Altoids, popped it open where there were quarters in there to cover the bill, looked at me and said, "There you go, playa," left.
Playa?
It was one of the funniest fucking things. Dude, I will never forget that for the rest of my life. That was so insane. But he was really nice though, because he came back the next day. What happened is that his check didn't clear yet. So he thought he had more money than what he actually had. So he actually came in. I didn't work that day, but he left me a $30 tip afterwards. So he's all right. The story is just hilarious, though.
That is pretty funny.
I can talk about the time that I was minding my own business, and nice older couple came in. They seemed just kind of like, oh, they just came in for some food and soup, and then publicly tried to recruit me to a political party.
Whoa.
Yeah, just blatantly out in the open.
That's
like
insane.
Announced it. Was absolutely nuts. There are a lot of things I cannot say because slurs were involved. When,
no.
Guests can get unruly. I've had to break up a few fights. I've still to this day I can look at the spot on my left wrist where I have a cigarette burn.
Oh, that's messed up.
And remember, I don't smoke cigarettes, so it didn't come from me. There's a lot of wild ones. I could probably do a 6 hour like podcast on like the insane stories that I've done there.
That would be such a good idea. But yeah, Kira came with the oh shit. That is an oh shit moment. Sans wants to know what kind of slurs they were. I'm not sure we can answer that. Was it like just like racial ones? Like
I mean, take your pick. Racial, homophobic, transphobic.
Heard all of the above.
Pick all of the above. Like, heard it.
Yeah, that checks out. Oh, I just went into spikes. You worked a cash register once, so you wanted to die. I worked one once. I was like, it was a fireworks tent that my older brother was running to help fund his fraternity. I was like, you know what, sure, I'll help out. And like, talking to the guys and trying to like sell products was like kind of fun, but like just being there that long in the summer heat, mosquitoes biting me because they like my blood. I came home that night with like 20 mosquito bites, and my friend who normally gets more mosquito bites, like when he's with other people, like got like 2. They just ate me instead. Like it was kind of fun. Like it was interesting for the day, but I couldn't do that as like my actual job. Like with all the people coming in, people trying to like strike weird deals, and it's just tiring. Like I can't deal with that shit. I like my desk job, nice and cushy. Sit there, do nothing.
Boy, let me tell you something. I don't blame you. Especially now, I'm just like, man, all I got to do is just sit at a desk for 8 hours, and occasionally I can get up, and they let me go on break, and I can take a. Yeah, sure.
It's so nice. Yeah, Shiro's here. Hi, Shiro.
This is Donnie. I dodged a flaming pan that was thrown at my head once. I actually believe that.
That's
I completely
insane.
believe that has happened. I've seen a guest throw a checkbook back at like I was on duty like at the time that this was happening too. Just threw the checkbook straight at the bartender who was working and was just literally pulling whatever he could and was like chucking it just straight.
Whoa.
Like we had a bottle of there was a bottle of just honey mustard that like all of a sudden
Honey
it just
mustard?
like it hit like the doors. Like there's doors that you go into the bar. It just hit the door, came in, smacked the expo line, and all of a sudden there's just like a glop of like honey mustard all over the place, and we're like, what the fuck is going on? That was one we had to break up. That was fun.
Yeah,
we've had there's a, oh my god,
this happens every time, by the way. I keep mixing these two people up because they have similar usernames, and I feel so bad every time. This is she here. Hello, she. Welcome. But no, that's insane. Customer service just sounds more insane the longer I interview you. I'm like, what the fuck?
It is. Dodge the flaming pan, but an avocado on the floor. That's always how it happens. It's just like you dodge the big thing, but then it's just like, oops, did miss my step here. Here was a puddle I didn't see, or an avocado, and now all of a sudden you rolled your ankle and you're done for the day.
Yeah, that's insane. Because like the human body is not like resistant to many things.
Also, if you ever go to a restaurant or a bar, please read the room. If you are somebody who has been there, and let's say that like, you know, the bar that you're at has like a little gambling machine, right? And I don't know, you've been there since the restaurant opened, almost beforehand, trying to get into gamble, and then all of a sudden we've closed. We've told you it is last call. We've told you we're no longer serving alcohol, and we're literally like wrapped up, sitting at the bar, staring at you. Leave, please.
Yeah, like,
It's time to go.
or at least if you're gonna stay there, like, don't make it long and like be nice and polite and like leave a decent tip. I feel like that's the least you could ask for. Yeah, let's see. That's insane. But I guess we'll move on to question 4.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'll try to speed up, see if I can.
This is probably going to be a short one. I was curious what the cost of living was like in your area at the time you were working.
It expanded a lot. So when
Really?
I was in New Jersey, I had stayed in the house that my bandmates and a few other guys that we randomly knew were there. So the house altogether was $2,500 for rent, but with the 5 of us there, it was only $500 a month.
Okay,
so
that's
I was
not bad. That's kind of average
fine.
as far as roommate.
That was also back in 2011 though.
Oh. Well, interestingly, I have like similar situations here. Like the rent here is not bad as long as you're rooming with other people.
Cool. That's good. Then that's a very good thing.
Yeah, granted, I live in a dorm, so it doesn't matter, but...
Yeah, well, yeah. But then I went to when I went to live in Brooklyn for a minute, and then I had a 400 square foot studio apartment that I was paying over $1,000 for in 2012. Because that's just what the price of living in New York was at the time. It was insane. So then when I finally moved down to North Carolina, the first apartment that I got, I was like, screw this. I haven't had what I want, like a nice, like I want like a place to live. And so I got a 2-bedroom with a patio apartment back in 2013. That apartment I was only paying $800 a month for it.
Ah.
And it was like, it's 2-bedroom though. So like I would literally just have the second bedroom just be my studio. And I was just like, oh yeah, I can do all my creative stuff in here. This is where I can actually sleep. Okay, cool. Done deal. Say no more.
That's awesome.
I can breathe some fresh air. People, like, when I first moved down there, they were like, you got a 2-bedroom apartment? Like, what? How? Why? And I'm like, listen, when you're paying $500 more for like nothing, and I can get this much more for $500 left, you better believe I'm taking the room. I'm taking all the room I can.
That's fair. That's so fair.
But that apartment now, 10 years later, I looked back just to see what the cost of living there is now. That apartment is now $1,700.
Whoa. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got people like me coming into
Depending
this
on
kind
the
of
area,
landscape.
Donnie, that is 1,000% correct. It would run close to 3K.
Okay, that's crazy.
So I would say cost of living for me was it moved from 800 to probably about like 14.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, hi Dark Ace, by the way. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Hello, Dark Ace.
But yeah, that's crazy because you got people like hell, even DB very soon. People like DB, people like me that are like halfway through college. Other people like Poyo and stuff that are probably gonna graduate high school soon enough in a flash of an eye and start trying to lead their own life a little bit. Like we got people like this coming into this kind of world. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then after us, we have iPad kids, which is like, what are we supposed to do about that? Like,
update your passport. Consider options. But yeah, no, it's the rent is insane. Like it's at some point it has to fall apart because there's no way. Like there's just no way.
It's not sustainable, right?
It's absolutely unsustainable. There's just no way.
Mm-hmm. The world's just in a very interesting place right now, but that's getting into doomer talk, so we'll probably leave that topic for the table.
Yeah.
Sup despair, scared for real. For some reason, I'm not worried. I can't really explain why. I'm just not worried. Maybe I'm just a little overconfident in myself. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, some guy graduates this year. That's insane. That's actually crazy. Yeah, and hell, Pulver's like entering his last semester of high school too.
Man,
it's crazy.
Y'all grow up so fast.
He says with a tear in his eye. It's the most bubble bass like order somebody's given you. Like, okay, has somebody given you like one of those orders where it's like the big smoke order, or like, you know, like the bubble bass episode from like SpongeBob?
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
No pickles.
Yes, sometimes those people can actually be pretty cool, and as long as you know what it is, like I know someone who would order a drink that is essentially what he wants is that he wants a Long Island iced tea, but he didn't want it to taste as sweet and didn't like the soda in it. So what essentially he wanted was a LIT, the liquor that goes in an LIT, but with the mixer that goes into liquid marijuana. Which, I mean, it's 8, there are 8 steps there that you have to take, but like he was always cool about it and he always took care of you. So it was just kind of like just do it. Like who gives a shit?
That's fair.
And,
that's interesting
also,
that it wasn't like a Karen style order where they were just being a dick about it. He just like had a special request.
It was his special, like he just came in and we had a name for it and everything. Comes in, I see him, I'm like, I won't say his name, but it's just like, yo, what's up, my man? Like handshake,
what's up, Gerald?
everything. He's like, what's up, Gerald? Yeah. And it just be like, he's like, you know what I want? And like, I got you. And like the drink itself is actually easy to make. So, well, if you have the ability, you can actually pour 4 bottles at the same time. And if you know how to do a count, there's what's called a long 2 and a short 5. Your short 5 is counting a quarter of an ounce every time that like you count. So it's like your count goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that should get you to an ounce and a quarter. If you're doing a long 2, your count is 1, 2, and that should get you to depending on how you cut off that 2, you're either pouring exactly 1 ounce or you're doing the same thing as a quick 5, which is a short 5, which is a quarter. An ounce and a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what you're doing is that you're doing a long 1 pour of 4 different liquors, and then you're also doing a long 4 pour of your mixers. And that's why I'm like, it's an easy drink to make. Like, sure, it's not something we have in the menu. It's not common, but it's easy. So, but like the bubble bass kind of orders are like where it's somebody you don't know, and they're like, I went to this one restaurant and I got this drink made this way. And all of a sudden you have to play a giant guessing game with them. In terms of, well, what goes in it? Like what are you asking for? Like what do you actually want? It's just
I want the specific YouTube video I saw 5 years ago as a child but can't remember the name of. You know, that kind of specific. Like your internet detective guesswork.
Yeah, no, and that there are a lot of times where I'm doing that too, where it's just like, cool, you've just ordered this drink that I have never heard of before. I now either have to go on Google or I have to ask you for it. And if you don't know what's in it, it's like, well, then how am I supposed to know what's in it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of situations like that are just like that. That's where it's the worst, and you're getting to. And then like that's the other thing too, is that like you'll tell them, hi, I don't know how to make this drink, I'll do it the best I can, and then when they're just like, oh, this isn't good, this isn't how they make it, I'm like, well, I told you up front. Like I told you, we don't know what this is. I don't like, I can sell you anything else, just tell me what you like, I'll try to get close.
That's insane. Yeah, so that was an interesting question for sure. That's interesting how you do the counts. It kind of reminds me of like when I was in band and stuff. Let's see. Yeah.
It's a lot of rhythm.
Spare graduates college this semester. Dark Ace has his degree already, of course. We love Dark Ace. Some guy says in 3 years he will find Blackjack and ask him to make me a drink as I dress up in a fancy suit with a blowpipe. I don't smoke or drink. The blowpipe's just for looks.
Wow. Just all appearance.
That's insane that Poyo's also graduating high school this year. I did not even know that. I didn't know he was in like the same age range that Pulver was. You gotta go to my desk job, take a double, triple, bossy deluxe, On a raft, 4x4 animal style, extra shingles with a shimmy and a squeeze, light axle grease, make it cry, burn it, and let it swim.
Oh my god.
You graduate college when you pass numerous exams this year. 2024 is going to be scary. You got it, She. I believe in you. So does Dark Ace, apparently. All right. DB says that's a lot of math. Okay. Yeah. Hoyo is older. That's insane. All right. Well, I guess we'll go to question 5. We're making surprisingly decent pace for spending an hour on 2 questions. Now we're
I was like, I'll try to shorten it up a bit.
But yeah. So the next question is, how did your boss and managers act? I could hear him formulating the response in his brain. Absolutely floored. Unless he's gone. Are you still here?
Who, me? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Oh, he's just trying to think of what he can say because I guess the most just vile shit happened from them. It's not something you gotta disclose if you don't wanna.
There are a lot of fun conversations where it's just like you find out something that was said behind your back. I still remember this. This was like kind of when I was knowing that I was I thought I was on my way out and taking the other bar job. Where I was pretty much they had found someone else to start like who was going to start bartending there. And all I had ever wanted was that, like, all I heard was that it was like, okay, cool. We need to make sure we take care of this person and this person. So like right now, like you're the number 3 bartender, but like, you know, we have to take care of them first. And so yada, yada, yada. Brought in another person who had nowhere near the experience that I did. And all of a sudden I found myself at 4 and they were giving them a manager opportunity. And that's when I started feeling
insane.
like, okay, I'm like, okay, so then this person came in and suddenly I found myself at 5 and I only had 1 bar shift a week. So I remember there was a point where I sat and I looked and the schedule had just came out. My manager was in the office. I would never do this, like never do this in like a work setting. This restaurant just was
Curse.
hell. I looked at the schedule. I was put on 7 serve shifts and 1 bar shift. And I sat there, I immediately looked at the schedule and I started to storm into the office. Like everybody kind of knew it's just like, if I have a certain walk and I'm like moving, it's like, okay. Like,
He's not happy.
I'm not happy about something.
That's crazy that you have a specific walk.
And like, thankfully, the other bartender caught it, stopped me for a minute. He's like, wait a minute. He's like, yo, wait, what's wrong before you go in there? Because he knew I was going in there. And I was just like, look at the schedule. I was like, look at the schedule. And sure enough, the new bartender that he just brought in had gotten 3 bar shifts. And I only had gotten 1. And on top of that, I also saw that it was just kind of like, oh, hey, there's just 1 shift you magically forgot to not schedule where there is no bartender. I'm like, how are you managing and like failing at this level, and yet you punish me all the time for this, and yet I'm like right on top of it?
Yeah, because it's an injustice, right? You're doing like the best work out of many of the people there, and you're getting treated like shit.
Correct. And a lot of it had to do, I still remember the day I walked in, I was wearing a red sports cap. It was just a sports cap that just had font on it. And I still remember
I remember you telling us about this.
I still remember how uncomfortable I felt when just like almost kind of like nodding with a smile on her face. It's like, damn, I thought that was a MAGA hat. And I'm like, nope, just a sports hat. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean? Like you, that would be okay for me to walk around in the restaurant like this? Like, no, like we already have rules about like, you can't wear certain like alcohol hats. Like, what do you mean? Like, it is now okay for me to like walk around the restaurant and just like scream what my like politics are? Like, you punish people on that already. Like, but not even like on that. It's just like on like who they are. Like, I know that you do that, and now all of a sudden, like, I'm cool with you because you thought that that's what the hat was. So yeah, it just like it was a nightmare. There were a lot of times where I was just like, I knew I would get called in the office, and I'm just kind of like, I think like during the last 3 years, I was honestly just waiting to get fired, and it just never happened because they couldn't get rid of me. And
He
I
was
think
just
once
that
I
good.
realized, well, here's the thing. Like I just started realizing I'm like, oh, that's the ability that I have now. It's just like
Yeah.
I have a one up on you somehow, and it's just that you can't find anything to actually fire me on, but you want to get rid of me. And as long as I don't give you anything to fire me on,
Like you're golden. You could stay there
I'm
as long as
golden.
you want. You're the person in control.
Correct. At that point, it's like I'm my own suffering at that point. But yeah, I was just like the reason why I couldn't leave, or why I felt like I didn't want to leave, was just because like the money. I put a lot of myself away just for the money.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it again. Would not do it again.
Would not do it again. That's interesting.
No, if you have a place where your managers make you feel uncomfortable and they want to get rid of you, get the hell out of there. Don't stay.
Because that's no good, Sonic says.
It did. It caused a lot of trauma for me, because then whenever, it's like, you get to a new place now, and like you it's like your manager wants to talk to you, and it's just like, well, what does that mean now?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You start like second guessing it and stuff, right?
it took me like 3 months to adjust to it, that it's like, your manager wanting to talk to you isn't a bad thing. Like, maybe there's just stuff to discuss. Maybe they just want to check in and see, hey, how are you doing? How are things in your life? Like, what's going on? Let's talk about this. And like, everything isn't always like, like doom and gloom. So
Yeah.
it took me a while to like adjust to it. So, but yeah, the instant panic. Yeah, that's not a thing.
I had a moment when I had that, because like it was like early last month. My boss like left me a voicemail, and this isn't like my boss. This is not like the person who like manages my shifts at my building, at my home building. This is like the boss, the boss of all bosses at the desk worker like crew. So this is big man on top, and he like leaves me a voicemail telling me that he wanted me to call him back for some interim staffing issues, and I'm like, what does that mean? Am I getting fired? But like, surely not, because there's like a specific like procedure here for how like you get fired. Like, they have to have like a disciplinary meeting and all that stuff first. They would have sent me an email, but I was still freaked out. I was like, what does this mean? So I called him the next morning, and it was actually like a nice opportunity, because it was like, hey, there's nobody in this building on Christmas Day. We were wondering if we could just cancel your shift that night. And I was like, you know what? I get to go home for Christmas. Bet. Like it was like a nice opportunity, but it like still scared the shit out of me, because I'm like, I don't want to get fired. I need this job.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I still, if you want like the greatest example of what I'm like, of like what the experience was like, I still remember the day. Oh, and this was the other thing too. I guess just to make it short, because I don't want to stay too long on it, because I know we got
Right.
But basically, it was just like, I still remember the day we had a coworker there get belligerently drunk, say like got into a fight with a guest there.
That's insane.
Like yelling match outside and scaring people off, and said like a like homophobic stuff to another coworker there.
Double yikes.
That person still got to work there, still kept their shifts, which were like prime shifts, and like almost no, like they got a suspension. Their suspension was really like a week, and the suspension was just like, hey, don't drink. That was it. Just don't drink there.
Yeah, it's like how Twitch, like I heard like Twitch, like with the recent like art fiasco, somebody who was like actually drawing like the statue of David got like banned for nudity. But like it's just like crazy seeing the double standard, how they banned that person for nudity, and they banned somebody else who is just like, it was like a naked VTuber model. They banned her for like 3 days.
Yeah, Like well, that's the thing. So something like that would happen. That person would be like told, okay, listen, you just can't drink for this week, but you'll get to keep all your shifts. I would be upset about, and I would talk to a server about it, where I'm just like, hey, your drink has been in the well for 20 minutes, man. Like, I can't, like, this needs to go, right? And the person would be upset about it, go to the manager, talk to them about it, and I would lose a shift suddenly.
That's insane.
Because they thought I was being confrontational. And I'm like, it's a 20-minute drink. What do you mean? I'm not being confrontational. I'm thinking about the customer at this point. Like, I don't want to get a complaint all of a sudden where they're just like, hey, bar's moving too slow. And I'm like, no, the drink's here. The server has to like get this drink out of here. It's been sitting here the whole time. And then it's like, I would get in trouble for that. And I'm like, that's insane to me that like, that's the standard. That it's like, you have a favorite or you've picked someone that you liked. And it's just like, they've definitely done something that is like fireable. And it's like, for me, it's like,
you do something very minor where you were like probably in the right.
And it's like, oh, well, we can almost find a way to get you out of here. So
that's crazy.
I think that's a small way of like generally describing it.
I agree with She here. That's BS. Yeah, that's crazy. But we can move on to question 6 then.
Yeah.
So, did you ever take any breaks? Like any break at all? Like, because I know you said you didn't, but I didn't know if that was in a general sense or not. But did you take even one vacation? Like even one break during that time you were working?
The only breaks that I ever truly took were injury
breaks.
There was one day I had come around the corner and I had said corner. The person that was also coming around the other side of that corner didn't say corner. Stepped on their foot, rolled my ankle.
On your way around.
Yeah, so you pretty much yell corner to let somebody know that like, hey, we may be going at like the same speed and somebody is about to come out to that side. So you always
you gotta pay attention at the corner.
When you're in the restaurant, you always walk to your right and you stay to your right and then you say corner. So that this way, just in case, like, you know, you're not really paying attention, you know that somebody's coming.
Yeah, you know, because like that's a dangerous little spot.
Right.
Turn it into Rainbow Six Siege.
That happened. Rolled my ankle. My ankle looked like I had a baseball inside of it.
Wow.
And that put me out for 6 weeks. And that was the only quote unquote vacation that I ever got.
Yeah, because you had to like take drinks to people and stuff. You know, you can't work like that.
No. I still remember I tried to go back early because I was like, dude, I'm not making money. I gotta get back. But I remember that they were so short-staffed, and I was trying so hard. I think the first 3 years I was there, I was trying so hard to prove that it's like, I'm really good at this. I can do this, and like, I can excel. And then I just realized that, well, I tried to convince myself that like, no, I can change their minds. And then the latter part of working there just became like, I'm never going to change their minds, but I will take all the money that I can possibly can from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of a fair mentality.
So I still remember I had specifically asked to my cousin had passed away in 2020 in an accident, and I was like, hi, I really want to be able to go to the funeral. It is on this day. I've seen people be able to just like on a whim, they say somebody dies and, you know, they're given the time. I just want to have this one day off so I can just shoot straight up to New Jersey and I will be right back the next day. They didn't give me the day off. They worked me 7 days a week that week.
That's fucked up.
I still remember that the only way that I could get to a wedding was if I worked Saturday morning and then I needed somebody to cover my Sunday morning shift so that I could then be there Sunday night to work. I kid you not. I left North Carolina. This had to have been, I left North Carolina. Oh no, I have it a little mixed up. I got somebody to cover my Saturday shift, so I had to work Friday night. That's what had to happen. The only way that I could do it was that if I shifted. So I had to work Friday night to then have all of Saturday off, and then I needed to be back down there by Sunday morning. So I got done with my shift at 2 a.m. on Friday night, which was then essentially Saturday morning. That's why I think of it as Saturday. So then I pretty much have my suitcase all packed, threw it in my car. I'm like tired from working like a 8-9 hour shift.
I feel ya.
I am just like gassing it to New Jersey, just gassing it. And trying to get through, because like I don't want to hit DC traffic by like rush hour or anything like that. I'm tired as hell. I'm on like 2 cans of Red Bull and like whatever can possibly keep me up for the entire trip. I get to Jersey at around like 10 a.m., which is now a little too early to kind of really go meet people, but it's like, okay, cool. I'm there. I'm at the wedding. Everybody's like asking me, hey, how am I doing? I'm just like, man, everything's great. Yada, yada, yada. I'm just so glad I can be here. And like, I'm having a blast.
Yeah, because, you're getting that dopamine rush from like the hell you've endured. You've gotten out of it. And now you're in a nice, jovial, friendly environment.
So I'm sitting there and I'm just drinking. I'm having a good time because it's a wedding. I'm supposed to be having fun. I'm sitting there and, I get to get up and talk about like how I've known my friend for like 10 years and I never thought like these two would be together and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, it's amazing that like they made it work out. And, I see like, such a beautiful relationship that has come out of it. Yada, yada, yada. I can get
spinning up the story.
But I just wanted to drink and have fun. I'm like seeing all my college friends again. Like it's supposed to be a good time. Like just relax. And so now I'm waking up the next day hungover at like with my alarm going off at 8 a.m. chugging water, knowing that I now need to get back down to North Carolina within the next 10 hours.
Oh.
And then just walk into my shift.
Yeah, that's not fun.
That was a lot of like what it was like working there. It was just like, if you wanted the time to go and do anything, if you were me and they didn't like you, you didn't get that. You had to work around it. And it sucked because it drained so much of my life out of me, where I'm just like, this is an insane thing that I'm doing. I should just be able to have the time to just go and, enjoy my friend's wedding, and that's it.
Yeah, and you should be like allowed to have something happen and be able to like.
And instead, it was never like that. And it's funny too because it's like the the manager there was just like, she took a wedding during our busiest season. It was just like 2 weeks off, and we're like, what?
Yeah, it's just like the double standard. It's just fucked.
Yeah.
Nah, I know exactly how you feel because my job is this is like the only other complaint I could have about it. It's just like the shift economy is what I'll call it. Just kind of sucks because it's a manner of your shift is on you like every single time. That shift is on you. If you have been A, assigned that shift, or B, took that shift from somebody else, that's on you. It is your responsibility to figure out what the fuck to do with it if you can't make it. You either go or you get somebody else to do it for you. And like, I guess if you're like in the fucking hospital, you could probably tell your desk supervisor and be like, hey, I'm in the fucking hospital. Can you find somebody to cover this for me? They'll probably be like, sure, because you're in the hospital. What choice do they have? But because like my friend passed away recently.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But point is, like, the day of, I like had work that night, and I'm like, not necessarily that night, it was the next morning, and like my family came up, and I'm like, hey, is there any way I can go home? I'm kind of fucked up right now. And like I just had to sit there and deal with the fact that I could not get that shift covered. So like it's just as fucked, but like,
yeah.
So I know exactly how you feel, like sitting there in that situation. It's just infuriating. It feels a little powerless, like, man, I would be so messed up if that, like, I would be so angry if that happened again.
I think I realized how much healthier my situation is the moment that we used to have like a group chat where, some of us would just complain about XYZ if it's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized how much healthier things were for me. And when I finally got to take a break and dealing with drama wasn't my life anymore.
Yeah.
And 2 months later, I just sent a text and I was like, hey, how's everybody doing? They're like, where have you been? Like, what's been going on? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, things have been fine. Like, just chilling. It's just work.
Just work.
They're like, is anything interesting going on? I'm like, not really. just come home at 5 and it's just like my work is there. My work doesn't come home with me.
Yeah, you have a life now.
And even if it does, it's not like, I want this to end, It's like, yeah.
That's awesome. But yeah, I had another thought. I forgot what it was. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. DB says, okay, hi Nam, welcome. Did you work holidays? At your job? Your bartending?
Not all days, no. Usually it would be 6 days a week.
But like holidays.
Oh, no. They were at least sane enough to know that we would be dead during Thanksgiving. So we never worked Thanksgiving. We didn't work Christmas. We didn't work Easter. Those were like holidays also never meant anything to me either. I'm like, what do you mean I get holidays off now? What is that? So it's like, here we are, we're getting like President's Day off. And like, if you work there, they're like, nah, that means you're working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing about this desk is that it has to be open literally 24 hours a day. So I had to work a couple holidays, which wasn't the worst because I wasn't gonna do anything on them anyway. But it's a holiday, that could have been a day off if this were a different place. But I guess the benefit that I have is that as long as I'm early enough, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get that day off because somebody will take it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was question 6. Question 7. What is your current job like? I know you kind of delved into some of that already, so I guess maybe just a Spark Notes version, since we already low-key talked about it.
Sure, yeah. God, that's funny. I just remember the Nintendo Switch. That has got to be one of the baller ass things I've ever done in my life, was literally just getting a Nintendo Switch that week so then I can have a reason to talk to a girl.
That's a different kind of flex. I'm not even gonna lie. It
really is. It's just I did this to up my chances of talking to someone.
That's kind of awesome though. I can't even knock it. You got a Switch out of it.
Yeah. The current job is just, it's just how every job has its stresses and everything like that?
Yeah.
It doesn't faze me. It's just okay. I mean, people call you, they have a problem, try to figure out how to solve it. If you can solve it, awesome. If you can't, all right, well, we're going to figure out how to solve it, because at the end of the day, this is what we got to do. You know what I mean? It's there's
that sense of confidence that you're going to solve that problem eventually, no matter how long it takes.
Correct.
I fucked up.
The workload doesn't I'm not gonna lie, there are just times it doesn't, and I guess it's just years of having to do bar work. I don't feel like I'm working. It feels I feel comfortable, almost and it's just the desk job. I'm sitting at a desk in front of a computer.
Yeah.
And I'm told to look at things and then go, okay, can you figure out how to do this thing, or hey, I need a password reset or something like that. It's that's what it is now. And I'm like, this is easy. Yeah, I can do this. This is fine. Talking to your coworkers is unbelievably awesome. And nobody
we love coworkers.
No one hates each other. It's just people just working, and it's just such a nice environment. It's just oh god, it's just such a great change of place, man.
Yeah, I bet. I like my desk job for that reason, because I don't feel like I'm working. It's just every once in a while somebody will come in, they swipe their card, thanks, and then they leave. It's
I
so
talk
simple.
there's just I talk so little about it in this case because I'm
there's not much to say, because it's just ideal, right?
Do you want me to yeah, it's just I can't get into specifics about the actual work and
yeah, because you're legally not allowed to, right?
Right. So it's but in terms of like, is the work stressing me out? Do I have insane stories like, when I'm like working at a bar? It's like, no.
Yeah.
like
You're
like
probably
no,
glad
like,
to have those stories under your belt, but you're also
Yeah.
glad to be past them, right?
yeah, like, even if like someone is just like a little like, oh, demanding, it's like, all right, well, I mean,
Yeah, on to the next one. At the end of the day, I'm looking at
it's
you from
like,
behind a
like,
computer, right?
if the most stressful thing I have to deal with is just someone was just a little demanding or a little unruly, it's like, okay, cool,
Yeah, like,
just
that's
get over
easy.
it with it. Yeah, and even then, it's just like, okay, that took a while, cool. I'm allowed to take a break, and I can just go and get my mind off of it, and then come back, and it's like, all right, I've reset, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a break at the water cooler.
Yeah, I just like,
Like in the
yeah,
cartoons.
like my break can genuinely be a break. I don't have to smoke a cigarette to be able to take a break. I can just go, let me get a drink, get a snack, come back. It's like just take a breather, come back,
That's awesome.
we're good. Also having a lunch break. Oh yeah, I don't get lunch breaks either. When I worked.
What?
Yeah, it's not a thing.
What'd you do?
I mean, legally you should be given a lunch break, but what ended up happening was that they were just like, just eat during your shift. You can eat during your shift.
That's insane.
What do you?
DB wants to know what you call a drinking fountain.
It's just a water fountain.
Yeah, it's a water fountain, right? Okay. That was anticlimactic. I don't know what DB was expecting, but Boss said the same thing. Is that weird?
No,
What is
that's
a
common.
bubbler?
The bubbler.
Is that what you guys are
who?
calling water fountains?
I've
Because that's
never heard that in
insane.
my life.
I have
Where-
never
where-
heard that either.
What Midwestern thing is that?
Is this like a
Is
Midwestern
it
thing?
I don't even know.
What the fuck is a bubbler?
What the? Yeah, what
Like
the
when I
fuck
hear
is that?
bubbler, I just think of the cave story weapon. Like, excuse me? That's insane. Agua. It's a Wisconsin thing.
That's the thing. At
Okay.
least I did. How did I know? How did I know it was? I dated somebody from Minnesota, so like I would hear weird words for things, and I'm just like, God, that is so Midwestern. What is that? So yeah,
Yeah.
when I heard bubbler, I'm like, this has to be a Midwest thing.
Right? Yeah. Anyways.
Bagel, rough. That's how they say roof.
It's crazy. And
Hey,
then
I am
people
from
come in here and they say like pop. Say like, would you like some pop? I don't know. That one's probably not as shocking because everybody's heard pop at least once before.
I mean,
right?
yeah, like people at
But-
least like know, like, okay, yeah, you said pop. Okay, you're not from the area, but like we know what a pop is. Like if you said a
bubbler?
bubbler, I'm like, does it make bubbles? Like,
Yeah.
like, is it like a kid's toy? What? I would not expect that to be a water fountain.
Yeah. But I guess we'll move on to the final question because we've hit
Yeah.
we've hit the 2-hour mark. Again, I'm on winter break. I don't really have anything to do, so you could take as long on this question as you like.
Okay.
So, what do you want to pursue now? Like in terms of goals for the new year, and specifically projects, because I heard you mention projects. Like, what's next? What's next for Blackjack?
I think my end goal for me always was doing some sort of entertainment. So to finally be back on, or to trying to get myself back on track of making videos and just, doing my craft. The thing that I enjoy more than anything else is just being creative and writing and art. It's always been fascinating to me. So much so that like even in college, I always joke about this. I can break down a movie scene for you and tell you, okay, here's how they did this shot. Here's actually how they did it. What certain things are called. I can describe in detail of like why they had to do things a certain way, especially if it's a noir film, because I had to take like special classes for it and like certain rules that they had to follow back in the 30s and 40s about like how even if you're the bad person, you can't let the bad person get away. They must suffer something towards the end, whether it is death or whatever, even if they succeed in what their goal is. Like stuff like that. I know all of that to like a T. If
That's
you put a
interesting.
gun to my head and told me, name 5 Scarlett Johansson films,
You would do it? Probably?
no.
No.
I can't. When it comes to, I'm actually, you know how if you say like SpongeBob, like Novel has no idea what SpongeBob is,
Yeah.
or like it's like that. Like I'm like that with films where it's like you're a film major. Like they find out like you did TV, radio, and film. I'm like, yeah. Why don't you know what this is? And I'm like,
That's
I
me,
just
low-key.
I never cared to watch it. I just had my little specialty zone of things that I watched, and that was it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. Like, I hadn't watched Star Wars until, like, around this time a year or two ago. It's kind of crazy.
But that's also how I ended up like making different content from people, and why people, I think at times thought like the ways that I went about things were interesting. So for instance, there was a short film that I did while I was in college, and the idea for doing it, so I wanted to do a shot that was like impactful, where because we used to play we would run around campus and like a manhunt. That's what it is.
Manhunt.
Yeah, so we played manhunt around campus, and so we wanted to do like a movie version of it, and we wanted to do like an execution scene, and they were just like, but like, how can we do it like where it doesn't look like? Well, they were just like, oh, we can just like get a mannequin head and something like that, and I'm like, nah, that's too cheesy. Like everybody does that, it doesn't look as good. I was like, why don't we do this? And I had an idea. I was like, why don't we shoot the film from a first person perspective where you're having the person essentially be the camera. Or even then, even if you don't want to do that and you still want to film it third person, you can make a certain scene more impactful by putting it in the first person perspective. So all of a sudden, what we did was that we would make we did a shot where someone's coming down with a machete. And what we did to film it was that we had the camera out and we put two pads on the side of the camera because we didn't know what way it was going to swing yet. And the blade would essentially, it was like a dull blade, so it wasn't like a real machete, but it was just like when the machete comes down, you can then hear the thwack, like the thwacking.
Yeah.
And then we would let go of the camera so that it like tilts over to the side. So that this way, then when we would cut, like when it hit the ground, we would then have it cut to black in editing. And then it would do a fade. So you would do a fade so that all of a sudden it's like no longer black and you're starting to see like a visual, and you're just seeing like the outside of the campus, and like the camera's just kind of like jiggling a little bit up and down as it's like coming into focus. And you realize that that's the actual beheading, and it's the head looking as it's being carried by the killer, then just walking out. And so it kind of all of a sudden becomes like, when he points the camera up, you realize, oh my God, he's looking at the beheaded head and then just pointing straight out that way, which had like a much bigger effect than like doing
just a
kind
simple
of like
mannequin. Yeah.
Yeah. So
just
stuff like
crazy
that.
ideas.
Yeah, like I love having ideas like that, and I think that that's why a lot of times my ideas for like when I create something, I'm just kind of like, don't. I think it's fine to like look at film and draw ideas from it, but don't get all of your ideas from just like film. Take your ideas from like other things. Like if you're I always say it's like people always made fun of me when I started to see kind of where sports were going, for instance, where they were just like, man, it's so unrealistic that like this guy would be like into skateboarding, or like somebody would like anime. Like 10 years ago when I was like making content and I was like, these are the characters I'm making. They're like, no, that's unrealistic. Like that's nothing what it's like. And it's like 10 years later, it's like literally we have dudes in like interviews with like Naruto headbands.
Yeah.
And, like, it's just like, no, like I have a read on what like culture is, and like I want to make film to I want to make ideas and stuff like that and get creative to see like where are we going with things, like where are we pushing things, what can we push, what can we advance, what better things can we do here, what's more challenging, because to just make the same content over and over again, I think is boring and it's repetitive.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the problem that I have with like just watching YouTube videos now. It's like, even now it's like I can tell by a thumbnail what a video is going to be like. It's like, okay, here's a video. It's going to be 8 minutes so that I can get monetization for it. It is going to be 7 minutes of filler, 30 seconds of an ad, and then it's going to be 30 seconds of the thing that you actually want. I can't do that.
That is so valid.
I want to make, if I'm going to make a video, I want to make sure that every part of it is worthwhile to bite into. But I'm also not a person that can do like a 3-hour essay. I know I'm sitting here on a podcast, and here we are together.
Yeah.
Podcast. I'm sitting here on a stream, and it's just like,
it's basically a podcast
for 2 hours. Like, I can shoot the shit with you, but it's like, I'm doing this off the top of my head. There's nothing to edit here. It's like, this is uncut. So of course you want to be here for this. But if I have to edit something together and I'm still putting it together, it's 3 hours. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Because like that 3 hours, like it feels like a wall almost, because you want that 3 hours to actually be like high quality stuff. And if you want that 3 hours to be high quality stuff, that takes months, weeks of your life at least.
But yeah, that's the pursuit right now. It's just, let's get back into like actually making content again, and getting stuff up. And then, you know, I want to, like, I feel like my community's dead, and that's on me. So it's a lot of like, I want to get them back involved again, and, you know, get us back to maybe where we were about like 2-3 years ago. So yeah,
that's valid.
That's the pursuit. I think at the end of the day, I just always want to be making something entertaining. Yeah, Despair actually said some things, I think.
So Despair has some comments about film. It's good for comics.
Even if you want your bad guy to be evil, you still have to do something to be likable. Likable, kind of. I think at the end of the day, you have to do something that makes them compelling.
Yeah,
well, I would say compelling more than likable. Or because
I think compelling is a better word, because like
you can still make someone who is a complete piece of shit as a person, but if they are compelling and interesting,
it's like you love to hate them, right?
Right. My favorite example is always it's always wrestling. Watch like right now there is a he actually just lost the championship.
Is losing it right now.
And in AEW, his name is MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He takes his role to a point that you can't tell at times if he's being serious or not. And that's even on the outside, where he'll say some like if you met this person in real life, there's nothing likable about him. He's a schmuck. He's kind of like he's always just kind of like, he's gonna say like the rudest things to you. He will say derogatory stuff. He'll say like curse at his bosses and everything like that. But it's just so compelling the way he can put a story together, and the way that he can the way he makes you want to hate him. Even so much to the point that he started to become like a good guy. Whoa. So he won the championship, and he had a turn where like he usually cheats all the time, but all of a sudden like he found one person he's like struggling, because he's like, oh man, I kind of like this person, but I don't do friends. Like, I don't like having friends. I don't like having people around me. And all of a sudden it's like, he opens up a little bit more, and it's like, no, this is my brochacho. Like, we hang out, and we and you start to open up to him a little differently, but he still keeps like these little pieces about him where it's just like, he still cheats. But this time, like, he'll go to the crowd and be like, aha, did you see that? I cheated and like got away with it. And the crowd's just eating it up. And they're like, yeah, it's you have to, as a character, have something compelling about you, like something that just like you want to like dig into and have fun. I think my favorite example of that is it's Gordon Ramsay. Back in the day, I didn't give two shits about cooking. Not interested at all. Like, I don't really care. It's food. Who cares? But you would see the passion every single time Gordon would talk. Like, even if a lot of it is like, I found out later, it's just like, oh, it's all theater and him like, you know, just throwing pans and smashing stuff.
Yeah, right. It's just the show. He's like apparently a really nice guy behind the camera.
Right. Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's like, but I could still feel the passion. Like, he still cares about cooking, and like cooking is like his life. And it's what got me involved and like interested in like wanting to learn from him and understand certain things about like service and like food that I never cared about. I feel like that can happen in almost anything. Again, if you just make a compelling character, a compelling story, whatever it may be.
Good notes. But yeah, there's all kinds of characters you love to hate. It's just the bare minimum, I feel like, if you want a good antagonist or something. Not even necessarily an antagonist. But it's interesting to me how, like, you mentioned that wrestler, like, had that one moment. It's crazy to me how that tiny kind of, like, flick can, like, swap a character from being just a straight up villain to being more of, like, an anti-hero.
Yeah. I like one of my favorite characters. I am just forever gravitated towards Poison Ivy. I don't know why. But I still think where they have taken the character now is so much more interesting than the character was back when it was just like, oh, she's a really sexy lady and she's going to give you kisses and stuff. And now it's just like, okay, she's an eco-terrorist, but like, but she does it not because it's like, oh, I'm doing it for the sake of evil. She's like, okay, but like the Earth's literally on fire. I'm trying to save the planet. And like, no, but for real, I don't actually like working with the like villains and stuff like that. Like it just becomes a much more dimensional, like a much greater character. And it becomes less about like how sexy she is and more about like, oh, right, this is what the whole purpose of the character is.
Yeah.
So those steps that you take to like, and sometimes you just have a base that you're working with. Wrestling's a great example of that, where a lot of times a wrestler comes in for the first time and they are just given a gimmick and you just have to work with it. Right. So there's a, there's a good example of this. There's a wrestler, her name is Alexa Bliss. When she first came in, her whole thing was that she was really good at doing flips and doing acrobatic stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, okay, cool. We're going to give you like a cheerleader gimmick. It was like, okay, cool. She can do flips. All right. That's nice. Cool. It's not really, it's not like nothing really interesting. They tried to put her in big matches and people would just boo her because they were just like, this is boring. So what ended up happening was that they ended up, of all things that could have happened, they put her in an angle with this tag team that were called the Dubstep Cowboys, if you will.
The Dubstep Cowboys.
Yes. Blake Murphy and fuck, I can't remember. No, it's something Murphy. Buddy Murphy and Blake, the other guy's name. Who cares? Not who cares. I should know what his name is. But they finally put her with that team and they turned her evil. And suddenly it was like an idea finally sparked and she developed a character, and it was just not just like, oh, I'm just a cheerleader, I'm so happy to be here. It just kind of, she actually started becoming the mouthpiece where she was like talking for them. All of a sudden, like she started doing like she started coming out in gear where it's like she had like this arm thing that kind of looked like Freddy's claws. Just like, and it just all of a sudden she became it was like, it's funny because her name is Alexa Bliss. Oh, she's just supposed to be blissful and happy, and it became, no, all of a sudden now I'm kind of like more punk rock. My audience are the Bliss fits, like I can talk on the mic, I can be nasty, and like she was just so much better off as a heel. But at first they just saw her off as like a good person, and the good person was very boring. There are just so many different examples of that where it's like, and that's what I want to do with like creations that I have too, where it's like, if I just figure out something's not working, find out where to flip the switch at. And because you'll eventually figure it out. You don't want to give up on something too early because it doesn't work. It's the same thing with like streaming, same thing with anything that you go through in life. Where you're at right now isn't always the end all be all. At some point, you're going to figure out something that works. And then once it clicks with everybody. I'm pretty sure you can probably go back to Regretful Twitcher at some point and probably look at it in its early stages. And it was probably, they probably could look back at it and be like, man, it was rough. I look back at my stuff where shit, I got on YouTube and like I had 2,000 subscribers within my first 2 months of being there. And I still look back at like videos I made back then. And I'm like, I I would immediately trash this video if I ever was like making it now.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to be cringe. Like, just make the content, figure out where to make your adjustments at, because at some point it's going to be good.
That's interesting, because I don't know, my approach to creation and stuff has just been like, it's all been like a very widespread type of blanket approach. It's like, because I love like just all kinds of different kind of shit, and you know, there's not enough time to do all of this shit, so I just end up doing a little bit of all of it. This guy about to rage quit. I don't know what he's doing.
Do you would you consider Novel one of the villains you're talking about? I mean, he is for you guys.
That's funny.
There's a have you ever done character building exercises?
Not necessarily, cause like I don't know. I just do like a lot of stuff. Like I like to write. I like to trying to learn how to draw. I like to make music. I stream, obviously. Watch a shit ton of anime. But like the ultimate goal with that is eventually like some type of game dev, right?
Yeah.
But not the kind where I'm like trying to like strike it out on my own, because you know, like, I want my cushion as a software developer at a desk first, you know, just because it's a very volatile industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, eventually the goal is game dev, just as like a side hobby, side hustle. I don't know. Maybe somebody on Itch gives me $10. Who cares? It's for fun. But character exercises, I can't say I've necessarily like done straight up character exercises, but I don't like. I don't know. They're good. I should do more of them, because it like gets you thinking about your character, thinking about like how you're gonna write them, what kind of personality, word choice. It just irons out the specifics, you know. Is there a specific reason why you ask?
There are a few exercises, because I've taken a few creative writing classes during like my life, and also I find that this is also very helpful in terms of writing a coherent story. There is a exercise that we always did, and it's basically this. It is ask the 5 W's and the 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, and how about your character. You always start there. So and then once you start to answer those questions, you can then begin to shape out your character and, you know, like your intention for them in the story, right? So, you know, let's say we're starting out a character, like let's say you're like, oh, I want like I don't know, give me an example, like just any scenario for a character, and I can maybe give like an idea.
Sonic the Hedgehog stuck in a cave. I don't know.
All right, so Sonic the Hedgehog is stuck in the cave. All right, so we already have the character Sonic. In this situation, Sonic is the who. The what is like, okay, well, what is he doing? Okay, he's stuck in a cave. Well, what happened to cause him to get stuck in the cave?
Yeah.
Like, well, what's the scenario that brought us here? The where is obviously the cave. He's in the cave. That's if your story is focused around the cave, then where being the cave is important. If your story is like, okay, this person moved to a new location and is starting off at a new place, it's like, okay, the where that might be important is like, okay, but where did he come from? Those are the kind of questions that you want to answer about your character, because then once you've answered those questions, you've also started to sculpt out your story for them as well, and then what stories you should be creating for them moving forward. It also helps you to keep on track with what is important for those characters, and even then you can kind of start building side stuff off of that too. There's also a style of storytelling that Uchikoshi does. It's something about like, I think it's like a zodiac or something like that, of like characters where it's like 9, which is where 999 has like 9 characters in it for that reason. And I can't remember what it's called, but I like breaking down the reasons why, the way that certain people story built too. So like Uchikoshi, for instance, I like as a storyteller. And Kodaka, I also like as a storyteller, but they do certain things that annoy me as well, and I know what those annoyances are. For Kodaka, I'll for a perfect example here, Kodaka's Danganronpa.
Oh yeah.
In case you didn't know, Kodaka. My issue with Kodaka as a storyteller is that he will sidetrack a lot to tell a story that doesn't necessarily matter, or like really have a point. It's like to the side. Or the other problem that he has is that you get so adapted to this side thing doesn't matter that he then puts an important piece in a side bit, and you're like, wait, that was important? Wait, what? And like all of a sudden you're just like, oh shit, like there it is. And sometimes he writes a character for the sake of the character just filling a space. Uchikoshi does not do that. Every single character within the game, it does not matter how small they are, they have a point, they serve some sort of purpose, and their purpose is important. However, Uchikoshi, the thing that annoys me with him is that sometimes he gets way too in the weeds with like side stuff where it's like, all right, dude, I get it, like theory and all that, but you have lost me. You have lost me about like 30 minutes into now explaining like, you know, like multiple timelines and all this stuff. I'm just like, just keep it simple, man. Like, I appreciate that you know all this, but like, keep it simple so that like, you know, talk to me like I'm in 5th grade.
Yeah, it needs to be followable, you know, like it's a story.
Best thing I ever learned too, from a communications class. The most effective way to talk to people is talking to them like they're in 5th grade. If you can talk at a 5th grade level, your message will always come across. And that's a lot of times why it's like, even if somebody may not understand what something is, if your slogan is catchy, they will tag along with it.
That's fair. That's an interesting tip. That's a cool communications tip right there.
Yeah. I can go all day about, you know, the magnificent vocabulary apparatus that I have and blah blah blah. You know, I've literally made a joke character about that because that was me for a while. The joke character was a character that would speak but would use phrases incorrectly. So you know, like they'll use like foreign phrases, like like if you don't know what an ad hominem attack is, or if you don't know what my favorite one was that he would say, oh, you know, it's like they say s'il vous plaît, and it's like no, it's c'est la vie. It's that like that's life. It's not s'il vous plaît is if you please. What do you mean if you please? That's not the right French word you're supposed to be using here. That was like literally the basis of the entire character.
That's extraordinarily funny.
Yeah. He would eventually get himself in trouble one day for like saying the wrong thing, but it applied in the situation, so it actually ends up getting him in trouble. It's like little things like that. You answer those questions about your character, you know, in the construction and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I'll slide this in before we move on to catching up with chat and probably wrapping things up. Yeah. Is that I like learned this from watching a Mario movie rewrite, because like let's be honest, that movie story is kind of not what it should have been. Anyways, enough with throwing shade at the Mario movie, but the South Park writers have like a specific convention they follow when they're writing a story. Even though like South Park is like, you know, it's a comedy, it's a satirical thing, you know, they still have like a plot line. And their rule is that you know, like you have your outline, you have your story beats. You have to be able to like put certain words like after something happens. So like something happens and then you're supposed to be like, so there's certain keywords. So it's like Sonic got stuck in a cave. If you have to follow that with and then he found a stick, you know, like that's kind of boring. Like having an and then is not like a good way to write a story. What you want is a but, you know, like a Sonic is stuck in the cave, but Tails is in the cave with him because like he was also stuck in another cave nearby. You know, if you can follow like a story beat with like a but or a therefore, there's another keyword, I forget what it is. If you can follow the story beats with those kinds of keywords, then, you know, your story will like have some sort of cohesion to it, even if you're not like thinking about the big picture. So that's a rule I really like. Dig the South Park writers for that.
And then is a very well, yes and is what it's called in improv.
Right.
But it's a very improvisational way of storytelling. I I prefer to write like this. I usually write where I have the first chapter in mind, and then I have well, I'm now following what is basically like, normal anime where it's like you have 12 episodes.
Yeah, like three
But I do
arcs
that in like
between
chapter
them.
format. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, this is chapter 1. In chapter 12 we need to get here. This is where we're going. Now we need to make sure that we're not doing too much filler in between this, but we know where we need to go home. So
Yeah.
I now have to figure out, okay, what path am I taking? What characters need to be involved? Everybody else that I've set up in here, we now need to figure out how do we get in here. So I can already have the line there. So the same way where they're just kind of like the instead of and then it's but. The buts are pretty much the chapters that I'm putting in. What is stopping us from getting to 12
Yeah.
and eventually getting to the end? Because that's where you start building like your story and you get problems and way more interesting things going on there. So there's parts of that yeah, I definitely think are important and like should absolutely be considered in writing. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the specifics of it. I could look into it sometime, but it's a neat little rule. But yeah, so it's getting pretty late, so I guess we'll catch up on chat because I know they've had a lot to say, but we've been still in our conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, short-term. Okay, let's just do a lightning round. Opinion on short-term content, like YouTube Shorts, TikTok.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's kind of important. I just
An interesting
God,
take.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to keep this short. I can go on about 30 minutes about this, about just, you have to understand it this way. The way that we digest information changes over time, and it's always going to change with how much technology changes. I just talked about this maybe about a week ago where I'm like, do you remember back in the day where maybe this doesn't apply to you, but I'm like, I remember in the 90s, it's like, I could remember how important it was to send a letter out to my aunt who just was nowhere near me, and I would get a letter back and just remembering like how cherishable it was, just like, oh my god, my aunt wrote me back, I can't wait to go plan another letter and put it in the mailbox and send it to her. If she did that nowadays, I'm like, why didn't you just text me? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
It's just text me that you did not need to send me this letter. The pace in which we learn things is getting a lot different. So fortunately we're at a pace now where, because everything is so go that it's just like, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, I need a YouTube short to just explain this very quickly to me, or to just kind of tell me what's going on. So I think it is useful, but there are some times where it's like shorts are completely pointless because
Yeah, there's
there
some
are shorts
cases
that are
where it's just content farm stuff, you know?
yeah, where it's just like, hi, I'm doing this because this is a trendy meme to do, and it's just like, all right, never mind. This is like,
Yeah.
I don't need to see. Well, and that's the other thing too, is that technology is more accessible nowadays too, so everybody can do it. So it's not so much that content is getting worse or the content's getting boring. It's just that it's oversaturated with a lot of people who now have the ability and access to make content. So as a result,
Yeah.
it's just oversaturated with, in most cases, seeing a lot of the same thing.
That's fair. So in summary, there's good and bad.
Yeah.
I know she's been talking. We love Gordon Ramsay. Sans likes Poison Ivy, it sounds like.
Of course.
Yeah, I do kind of miss being in chat, but like at the same time, I don't know. I just can't sit still like watching Novell stream for 2 hours at a time anymore like I used to. I don't really know why. Like I just get freaked out if I don't have like the time commitment scares me. Like watching a 20-minute like 3 20-minute anime episodes is a lot easier for me than watching a 1-hour movie. Cuz like I could just sit up and leave in between them.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's continue. Some guy's planning on something. All right. Like Dr. Stone, Kill la Kill. But he was 5 years old. That's crazy. if you can't explain your story in 1 to 2 sentences, you got to rework it. Yeah, I remember that from my creative writing class. My professor said that as well. It's a good.
Yeah, that's
good
very
tip.
true. Yeah, if you can't tell me in 2 sentences, you don't have a story. Try again.
Well, I think more specifically, if you can't explain it in 2 sentences, your hook is garbage.
Oh yeah. I think
feel like that's a more
that's
specific
a better
way
of
to
putting it.
explain it. Because
Yeah.
like your hook needs to be like almost gimmick-like. Like you should be able to hook somebody within 2 sentences, right?
It's like Danganronpa. We put a whole bunch of kids in a school. It's a killing game.
Yeah, that's the hook. It's
There's your hook.
interesting.
Okay, great, done.
Run, like let's see.
Well, what happens in it? What do you mean? It's a killing game. The people are going to die.
Yeah.
Was that not enough?
There's drama in it, you could tell. But yeah, I guess that brings us to the bottom of the chat. I have read all your messages, by the way. We just don't have time to respond to every single one.
Yeah.
I guess we'll leave it off with Sans' question. Do you think already dead people should be used for gore scenes in movies?
No.
I wouldn't think so either.
Sans.
Okay, that was a pretty quick question. Well, thank you for coming,
Shortest answer I
Blackjack.
gave tonight.
Thank you for coming. I feel like I've learned a lot about you today.
This was fun. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Poyo.
Of course.
Poyo, Jesus Christ. Jeez. It's getting late for me, bro. It's midnight.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I guess we'll tie it up here. Thank you guys for tuning in. It seems like a little Yoshi Element Twitch renaissance is going to happen because, like,
Let's go.
now that I've done one stream, I just have to return to doing it weekly, right? That's just how this works.
Yep.
So,
Commitment.
Yep. Yoshi Element's back. I might try and draw like a new PNG tuber in a profile picture at some point, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, totally. Poyo says no problem, Blackjack, and I guess we'll leave it off with that. All right. Well, this good lesson. Thank you. Just ask you to do it, but I want to learn how to draw. Anyways, we've been here long enough. This video will be posted on my YouTube soon enough, as usual. But I guess until next time, everyone. We don't do raids because I don't do that around here because I'm lazy. So yeah.
Lazy boy.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.